Sadistic Penguin Studios presents the At the Show podcast with Tom Yumper Garcia.
Okay, you people sit tight, hold the fort, and keep the home fires burning. And if we're not back by dawn, call the president.
And Tony Chalsa Burt.
I don't know this industry jargon, YP, MP, whatever, okay? All I know is that I cannot get a record contract. We cannot get a record contract unless I take these tapes.
It's almost time, so grab a drink, get your popcorn ready, and join the film discussion with two guys from Chicago talking movies.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the At the Show podcast. I'm your co-host, Tom Garcia, aka Yumper, and with my other co-host, Tony the Sugar Baggy Burt. How you doing, my man?
Doing great. Glad to be here. How are you, Yump?
I'm good, man. Long week, a long 2 weeks. I am very happy to be talking movies with you tonight. You told me you're going to cheer me up, and I look forward to that.
Got some humor.
I'm cracking up at Sam Reeves' comment. Yes, the porn music intro, which makes me laugh.
Love it.
If you're not joining us on the YouTubes, check us out on the YouTubes to see all these stupid comments that Sam puts up or anybody else. They're really, really hilarious. But we have an action-packed show. Unfortunately, this show was supposed to be done last week, but when we had that big storm, I completely lost power and internet for 24 hours. It literally happened at, I believe, 3 p.m. Tom, when I texted you.
Yeah.
And I didn't get it back till 3 p.m. the next day. So it was pretty crazy. Luckily, my in-laws let us take our food over to their house. They had power at their place. Their electrical is underground. Unfortunately, I'm on the other side of the suburb where the electrical is still up on the poles. So we were able to save our food, but it sucked not having power for 24 hours. Shout out to my brother-in-law, Al, for giving me those battery charge packs. So I watched my iPad and whatnot to keep me sane. And shout out to my family, especially my son, Vinny, for keeping it cool and just reading books, keep himself entertained while we had no power. But yeah, man, we're back. We're back in action.
Back and live, and got a lot of good stuff planned for tonight, too.
Yes, sir. We're going to be talking about the Mission Impossible series with the new release of the Mission Impossible, I believe it's number 8, The Day of Reckoning Part 2, or Dead Reckoning Part 2. We are going to go through the first Mission Impossible films with the great Tom Cruise. But like always, Tone, we got some segments and some stuff to talk about since we haven't been here in a little bit. Let's get right into things, my man, and let's just go into what we have been watching.
That's a me. And also, what were you just watching?
So what were you watching, Tone?
All right. 2 things that I've been watching, 2 newer releases. First up is Heart Eyes. I watched this movie. It came out back in February, and it was listed kind of as a slasher movie, but kind of with a romantic comedy interlude. And it grossed $32 million on an $18 million budget. Jordana Brewster's in the movie. Devon Sawa from the first Final Destination's in the movie. It was okay. It was an okay slasher movie. It wasn't great. It wasn't, I would say, something that I would recommend. And I think what it really is for me is always when you find out who the killer is and who the twist is. The movie seems to play like a poor man's urban legend. You ever see that movie with like Jared Leto, Urban Legend, early 90s slasher movie? But this one, he's got a cool mask with the hearts, but it wasn't something that I would say was super awesome. But still, if you're a fan of horror movies and you're looking just for a slasher movie, it may be worth it. They did throw some romantic interludes in between the kills, which kind of try to make it like a like a romantic comedy also while the killings were going on. Could be worth it if you are interested. I watched it. I rented it from the library, actually. Not not too bad. I know you like horror movies. Might be something worth checking out if you haven't seen it yet.
No, I haven't, but I definitely will be checking it out. I got a lot more free time to do so I definitely will try to check it out, my friend.
The other thing that I watched, which was just released this past week on HBO Max, was a 2-part documentary on Pee Wee Herman, aka Paul Rubens. It starts from his early childhood all the way to his sad passing, which just sadly happened not that long ago, just back in July 30th of 2023. So they're kind of this is kind of a documentary because there's a lot about him. A lot of people don't know. A lot of things people think that they do know. Me personally, one of the movies that I grew up watching quite a lot was Adventures. Was it Pee-wee's Big Adventure? Honestly, this week, just for laughs for my students, I played the movie because it is rated PG, and I was able to play. No one told me I couldn't play a PG movie at school, so I was kind of seeing how they would play and how the middle schoolers would take to Pee-wee. And honestly, I was shocked. They all stayed awake and they made little jokes, and they say Pee-wee had Riz, which I thought was pretty funny. But then they also said that his girlfriend was a fine, shy, a bunch of terms that we ourselves might not be familiar with. But honestly, really funny. The part that I think they laughed the hardest at is when he's like going down the alley after he loses the bike, and he scares like all the gangster guys or whatever, and they're like, "Come on, that's really just too funny." But the documentary in itself digs into some of the more serious topics that he had found himself involved in years. And honestly, the documentarian did a very good job at going through all of it. It was very interesting to hear Paul Rubens' relationship with people like Phil Hartman. They were actually really good friends, and Phil Hartman wrote Big Adventure along with the Pee Wee Herman show, along with performing on it. But just a lot of interesting stuff. If you are a fan and interested in any of what I just said, definitely check out this documentary. It was definitely worth it.
So this is a documentary I actually want to get around to. I saw it. I didn't want to spoil it. I think I'm going to watch it with my wife. I know she was a fan of Pee-wee as well. Two quick things with the Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I grew up on that as well. My aunts, who are maybe 13, 14 years older than me, they actually recorded it on WGN on VHS back in the day, and I would watch that tape like all the time. We eventually got the VHS copy, and then of course the DVD copy of it. So it's a regular feature that I watch when I get a chance. And also with Phil Hartman, me and my brother always laugh at the his quote in the film when he's a reporter and he asks Francis, "So when did you two actually become blood brothers?" Which always cracks me up. But R.I.P. to both of them. Pee-wee was a big guy who didn't like his character to be taken out of context in terms of he smoked a lot. Never wanted anybody to film him or take a picture of him with a cigarette. I know he was always there to cheer up the kids. Just a hilarious dude. I also found out he was like really close to Elvira.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know.
He was actually close to a couple people where you're like, oh wow. But he's got some, honestly, he's awesome in Blow.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome in Mystery Men. He's got some movies that were.
He's in Matilda.
Yeah, I always remember after he got into that little controversy that he had in the early 90s. We're watching Batman Returns, and my dad screams, "Look, it's Pee Wee Herman! Look, that's awesome!" I was just like, "Oh my god!" And he was the Penguin's father at the beginning or whatnot. But really cool documentary. Really digs in again. It's always cool when a character like Pee Wee Herman that is so out there, it seems to have such a huge confidence that the reality to someone who plays a character like that might be the direct opposite. Like his personality wasn't anywhere near who Pee Wee Herman was. So it's definitely interesting to dig into.
Definitely. And as you know, he's inspired a lot of people. As Caitlin Queen ass says, Sam and his mom did a Pee Wee tequila dance at our wedding. LOL.
Oh no.
Yeah, I mean that's probably an iconic scene with the Satan's helpers.
Mm-hmm.
Great film, great memories. I watched Pee Wee's Playhouse. I mean, Lawrence Fishburne got his big break there as Cowboy Curtis. The most beautiful lady of Cartoonland, she recently passed as well. Just sucks, man. All these icons are passing away, and you know, after we go through what we've been watching, we're going to talk about a couple of them. But just crazy, man. But I really, really want to watch the documentary. So looking forward to it. I know you said it's good, so I'm really excited to see it. But what I've been watching, unfortunately, I chose two duds, my friend. The first movie I chose was Army of the Dead. Now, it's a Zack Snyder film. I like Dave Bautista. I think he's a great actor. I also like the characters that are in this film. You know, I heard that it was a zombie film. I don't know if you guys ever played Dead Rising. I'm a huge fan of Dead Rising. I'm a huge fan of The Last of Us. I was a big fan of The Walking Dead until like they just kept, you know, progressing it to I'm like they all gotta die. They're eventually gonna die. But I'm a huge fan of Ella Purnell, who plays Kate Ward in the film. She's from Fallout. She just got another big thing in Fallout. She's also in It Follows, which is another good film. But this film, Tone, I tried to watch it like several times. It's a 2.5 hour long movie, and I could not get into it. Like no, for the death of me. And it's got like I said, Ella Purnell, Dave Bautista's in it, Anna de la Reguera, our guy from Hiroyuki Sanada's in it. He plays a pivotal role in it. It just couldn't get like it was just so bad. Like it just wasn't interesting to me. It couldn't grasp my attention, which just sucks because it would be a film that I thought would. Have you seen this film?
Yeah, and I'm really glad you started by how you said two duds, because honestly, I didn't want to tell you that I didn't enjoy them, and then it kind of started on like a downward path. So we're on the same path there. Yeah, it wasn't good. As Owen Glimmerman of Variety states, it lacks substance, like good diner food served with extra ketchup. It's just really visually cool. Like the poster, it like either looks really cool or it looks really overdone, or Zack Snyder just, I don't know. You know, honestly, what's the last movie you think he's put out that you can say, okay, I like this movie?
I did like the recut, the Snyder cut of the Justice League. I thought it was kind of cool because the Justice League film was really bad. I would say my last Zack Snyder film I really enjoyed was probably 300.
I mean, that's about kind of what I was thinking. I mean, I don't have the list in front of me, but
Watchmen was good too.
Watchmen, yeah, I'd go Watchmen.
Mm-hmm.
Watchmen would be, but this movie just seems it seems almost like more video game than it does movie to me.
It's just bad. Like I did not enjoy it.
Like, you know what I mean? Like if you were playing it with a controller, you'd enjoy it, but watching it, just not.
Yeah, Sam says Man of Steel and Watchmen. You know, Man of Steel wasn't horrible. But like I don't know. I just couldn't get into this film. I thought the dialogue was really bad, which I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a Zack Snyder film. I expect the dialogue to be excellent. But it just couldn't grasp me to my full attention. Which brings me to this film Outsider I saw, which is oh man, it's a crime drama or action film released in 2018. Now, the reason I saw this was, and I saw Army of the Dead, was I was actually looking through Netflix for some films to watch, just to chill. And I saw Army of the Dead and it had a pretty decent little, trailer that kind of got me a little intrigued to it. So I watched the film. Outsider, if you guys know me, I'm a sucker for foreign films. I'm a sucker for samurai, yakuza, karate, kung fu, martial arts, anything with that. I am a huge fan of it. especially something that highlights like that, the country of Japan or Asia, the continent of Asia, anything like that. I love to watch films on that. I saw the trailer for this. It looked interesting, and I was reading about it. Okay, American prisoner. I kind of get caught up in the Yakuza world, so I'm like, it's kind of unbelievable, and I want to see how they mix it out. They messaged this, and Jared Leto plays the main character, and right there, if you know what Jared Leto looks like, it's not believable. He's supposed to be this hard ass like dude from the military,
The,
and he's like a toothpick with
the
heart.
reviewer for RogerEbert.com says it isn't the most palatable of pitches, but that somehow turns out to be not the movie's biggest problem.
Yeah. Also, shout out to Richard Roper, who is now a writer for RogerEbert.com.
Oh, very awesome.
Friend of the show. But yeah, I watched this and
Not good.
it has so many plot holes. So you've seen this, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay.
You summed it all up.
The part where like the beginning is like he saves the guy from getting killed by another faction of the Yakuza. So the guy kind of owes him, which I could see, okay. But then the fact like he repays the guy by banging his sister, he's out. I'm like, what the hell is going on? He should be dead. It just made no sense to me. It's very, very poorly, like the plot is very, very poor. It does have gore in it, I guess, if you're into that, but it's not even an enjoyable watch of gore. It's too much like, it makes me a spaghetti. The plot line is just all over the place and it's not straight, which sometimes works, but in this instance, it sucks. And, I don't like to say movies are completely trash unless, because movies are subjective to the person that's watching them. But I could not get into any of these two films, and Outsider really, really let me down because from watching the trailer, I didn't know it was Jared Leto until because it was just a white dude. I saw him, so don't get me wrong, I didn't recognize him until I saw him in the film with his white shirt and his slick back hair, and I'm like, yeah, Jared Leto, you cannot be a tough guy. You're better off playing the guy from The Little Things, the creepy guy,
I will go as far as to say I think the problem more is I will say that the movie wasn't good and Jared has a lot of list of bad movies. But when you look at a movie like Black Rain with Michael Douglas, he pulls that movie off pretty well, but the movie lies in the script. The movie lies in the directing. You got a good actor. This movie's got a bad, awful script. The directing, I don't know where it is. Visually, it could be kind of cool looking cinematographically, but everything else is such garbage. And then you put Jared Leto in it, and you're like, ooh, they must rather have had the Jared Leto from Requiem for a Dream. That Jared Leto might have been better in this movie than the Jared Leto that they wanted to act in this one.
Yeah, and the thing that bothers me too is Rory Cochrane was.
I know. I was going to bring him up. Yeah,
and I like Rory Cochrane. Now, for those who know, he was in Scanner Darkly. He's like a character actor, so he's pretty decent. He was in CSI Miami for a few years. He's a really, really good character actor, and he's not like a big name anymore, which he never really was. But he kind of takes side roles. Like I remember him in Public Enemies. He played a FBI agent, which was Christian Bale's right hand man. He ended up getting killed. Spoiler alert: that movie's only like 20 years old though. But but he's in this movie for like 8 minutes. He gets his head bashed in, and then we don't see him.
That's it.
So it was a waste of Rory Cochrane. It's just, I don't know. If you guys want to try something, watch Army of Dead or watch The Outsider and let me know. They're both on Netflix, and let me know what you think of them. If I was wrong, I just had a hard time. I finished The Outsider. Army of Dead, I couldn't even finish, to be honest with you. I gave up on it. But yeah, I just didn't really enjoy them. But I suffered through them. Sam Reeves says Paul Allen likes Huey and the News. But yeah, that's what we watched this week, Tone. You watched two good ones. I watched two duds. Sometimes you make all your free throws, and sometimes you miss. So we went 1 for 2, 50% on our movies.
I know.
But that's what we watched. Let us know what you watched over on the X, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube comments, wherever you want. Message us Well, is it still tweet us or X us? No, X us. That's kind of sexual. But you know what to do.
Access. I
Uh,
like it.
and let us know what you watched. If you agree with us, or if you want to tell me what you thought these movies are
I
good,
love
let me
The
know.
Outsider.
Yeah. Hey man, movies are subjective. I told you.
Now, if
But
you
I
haven't
dig
watched
it.
it, the kind of like I know you might have or you might not have, but they had a really awesome Stephen King television show on HBO called Outsider. It was like 5, 6, 7 years ago. Really, really awesome show. A little supernatural, a little horror. Would definitely clean your palate of The Outsider. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Definitely. Luckily, we had this, movies to go through because they cleaned my palate
Yes.
with what I was watching. Also, I've been watching a lot of Pawn Stars. Don't ask me why. I don't know. I just started watching them again. And, the old man is the greatest character on that show. Corey is just really bad. Big hoss. But with that, let's move into some news and rumors. And let's start off with something big that's been kind of in the talking for a while. If you're a fan of video games, Tone, which we both are, there's been a game or a series called Gears of War, who's been on the Xbox. It was probably one of the most famous games and probably one of the best, commercials I've seen. Where they had Gary Jules' rendition of Tears for Fear song "Mad World" played while Marcus shot at a alien who's running through the streets, which I thought was awesome. What's up, Gordo? And it became a game that I played with my buddy Johnny. We played it we beat all 3 of them, and then they came out with 4 and then 5, and I played it all the way up to I think 5. I didn't play 5, but it's a very, very prominent franchise, and movies have been talked about for it for a long time. I know it was dead and it was alive. Well, the Netflix have taken over via their 87th North banner with a gaming company called the Coalition, and they actually finally found a director who is working with Dennis Villeneuve on Frank Herbert's Dune, who's John Spahitz is going to get this started for the film, my friend. What do you think about them finally finding a director?
It could be good. Hopefully it is. Hopefully it's a video game that is successful. That's all we hope for here on the show. Like you said, success.
That's all I can hope for, success. I hope it's treated well. I hope it's treated with, the same love that it deserves. Gears of the War, directed by Tom. I would totally watch this. So Tommy Wiseau is brought up right now in our comments. If you haven't seen this film called Samurai Cop Part 2, probably one of the worst films ever created. Tommy Wiseau's in there, and his line delivery is horrible. But just watching him deliver them is great. So if you could find it, watch it. Yeah, so Gears of War now has a director. I'm hoping they treat it with the same respect and love to not only make this a franchise, but to keep the fans happy. It's such a great story in video game form. I'm hoping it does a great job in the big screen. And I mean, Minecraft became a hit when that doesn't really have a story besides, like a very small story anyway, with the Elder Dragon and Steve and Alex. Don't ask me how I know this. My son talks to me about them. But Gears of War has a predominant story, and it goes all the way back to Marcus and his children eventually in the future. So it has a lot of life for that, movie screen, and if it's played out correctly, it could be really, really good.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it is done very, very well, and maybe this will start kicking off, those projects that were in development hell. If this one succeeds, I know The Darkness, which is a game that was produced on Xbox and Xbox 360, Darkness 2, where Kurt Acevedo actually played the main character, Jackie Escalado. That was based off a comic book, and that been in development hell for over 20 years. Maybe if the Gears of War starts, making some money, Netflix will buy that up and make a movie out of that. But you never know. We just gotta hope for the best because we need something different, and I think in our palette for movies. And I'm always down for a video game edition of a film. What about you?
Yeah. I would definitely agree. The Last of Us just wrapped up,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought it did a good job. I was happy with the show. It's cool how they do that. I just hope it's not like the video game adaptation of a movie like Double Dragon
Oh
from
God.
1994 with so upbeat they might have escaped from a road tour of Annie. That was but with video game movies, you hope that you're trying to appease people who like movies, you're trying to appease people who like the video game. And honestly, I think as we move along, they're getting better at it. You know what I mean? Less Double Dragons and more, Super Mario Brothers. Not the old one, the new one.
Definitely. In other news, in my opinion, the greatest actor of my lifetime, if not of all time, has decided to come out of retirement. That is Daniel Day-Lewis. He officially returns to movies this year, in 2025. He's going to be appearing in a new film called Animon. And the reason he's coming out of retirement is the film's actually directed by his son, which I think is really, really cool. Roland Day-Lewis is going to serve as the film's director, and he actually wrote the film. It would also be produced by his dad, which I think is kind of cool. I'm really pumped for this. It could be about anything. He could be about him watching Pawn Stars or taking a shit on a toilet. It's Daniel Day-Lewis, one of my favorite actors. I love all the movies he's in. For the most part, I know some people will say some of the movies he's in are boring. To me, they're not. I'm a huge fan, and I'm really excited about this. Tone, what about you?
I love Daniel Day-Lewis too. He's a great, great actor. But anytime someone says the best of all time, I immediately got like what about Denzel Washington? Or like I can make the argument he's better, but I'm glad he's back. Is what the really cool news is because honestly, going out on Phantom Thread, I was hoping it would something a little bit more. Me and Katie went through a run where I think we watched like There Will Be Blood like 70 nights in a row. Just like that movie is great. I could just think of that movie. I mean, he's in Last of the Mohicans is great. So many great movies. People who say the movies he in are boring, again, you know me, I'm Mr. Critique of long films, but he does hold the picture very, very well. And honestly, he's a great actor. So I'm glad he's back, and I'm glad it's glad his son got him out of,
Retirement.
Yeah.
Hopefully, he starts acting in more movies. Brian, the guy who was in Double Dragon is the same guy who was the T-1000 in Terminator 2. The best actor of all time.
Scott Wolf from Party of Five?
The best actor of all time is Steven Seagal.
Scott Wolf was a T-1000?
No,
I know Robert Patrick.
Patrick, yeah. I couldn't think of his name.
Scott Wolf, though, was in Party of Five. I thought that's who you're talking about.
Yeah, he was, and he's horrible in Double Dragon.
That movie's bad.
Mark Dacascos, man, that poor guy. He was in that horrible movie, and then he was in a horrible Crow, Stairway to Heaven, TV show, which is horribly bad.
Cradle to the Grave.
At least he was kind of cool in that movie.
He was.
But his best movie is probably like John Wick
DMX
4.
Though. Was DMX cool in that
John
movie?
Wick 3. No, DMX was in a movie with Steven Seagal, Exit Wounds.
Sure was. That movie wasn't terrible.
No. You think I could make one of those? Oh man. So Daniel Day-Lewis is back. We have a Gears of War director, and now to the sad part of the news. Unfortunately, we have lost 3 actors that we've loved in some capacity. The first being Peter Kwong, who might not be a recognizable name for you, but if you're a big fan of Big Trouble in Little China, he was actually Rain, who did a lot of cool things in the film. He inspired the character of Raiden from Mortal Kombat, which no, actually he didn't. Fujin. He inspired the character of Fujin from Mortal Kombat. And he died at the age of 73, man. Kind of sucks because I was just watching, tributes to him, and it just sucks that this guy just happened to, die out of the sun out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Makes-
Yeah. But it's always, I mean, it's not cool, but even a friend who I don't talk to very often, but we were childhood friends and we would watch Big Trouble in China all the time. I look down at my Facebook message. He sends me just something that says rest in peace. You know what I mean? Like, the movie that we love still resonates with people, even if you don't talk to them for a long time. And when you lose somebody, an awesome character, it's definitely sad, when you, especially when a movie's as important as that movie has been to your childhood. What he actually said to me was, what did he say? He goes, play your cards right, live to talk about it. That's what my friend sent me, because that's what he says in the movie. Play your cards right, live to talk about it. That's one of my favorite scenes. But again, rest in peace to Peter Kwong.
Yeah, he was also in The Golden Child as well. Yeah, it sucks, man. You know how much we love that film, and it sucks that he passed. And the news just keeps on hitting, Tone, because today, on May 30th, we lost Loretta Swit, who played Hot Lips on MASH, probably her most famous role. Dude, it's crazy that Alan Ada is still alive. She passed away today at the age of 87. She was nominated for 10 Emmys every year the show was on, except the first during its 11-year run of MASH. For those who don't know who MASH is, or the show of MASH, if you lived during the 90s and you fell asleep at like 2 a.m, you woke up to the damn song of MASH being played to wake you up. With Alan Ada and all them running to the helicopter as it was based in the Korean War. I remember waking up to that. I'm pretty sure, Tone, you remember waking up to that. It just sucks that all these people from our past are going, man.
I know. Very sad.
And to go along with that, we lost a Chicago native. George Wendt passed away, a.k.a. Norm from Cheers. He also played a great role in the Tales from the Crypt episode.
Reluctant Vampire.
He also was in like some side stuff. He was in what's the film with Alec Baldwin, Tone, where they're in Missouri?
Oh, that movie, Outside Providence.
Oh, did I say Providence? Thank you.
Great movie.
Yes,
movie.
Outside Providence, great movie. He's in there. He's in Little Rascals. Most commonly and most popularly known for Norm. It's gotten to the point that he's getting tributes everywhere, Tone. Now, I wanted to show you this, and for our watchers and viewers right now, I'm going to show this little picture. It's from a video game called Fallout 3, which is still played a lot. It's still popular, which is why the Fallout series is in a Amazon series now, which I hope continues because that show is awesome. But a fan made this. He said, and most of you probably know the actor George Wendt, who played Norm Peterson in Cheers, recently passed away. So as a bit of a tribute, I took my favorite companion, Heather Caston, to Prost Bar in Fallout 4. Heather's father, Henry, is an NPC in Fallout 3. Shortly after we entered, Heather says her father had a friend named Norm, and they used to come here all the time. Obviously, the dates don't match up, but with George's death, it was a sweet Fallout moment. For those who don't know, these two skeletons occupy the usual seats for Norm and his buddy Postman, Cleve Clavin. I removed the postman's hat from the bar before taking the picture. Also, two skeletons holding hands lie on the floor behind the bar. They represent Sam and Diane from the show. Rest in peace, Mr. Wendt. You are beloved and will never be forgotten.
Very awesome. As mentioned in the comments here, he's great in Gung Ho.
Mm-hmm.
He's awesome. Earlier, I think in the year, when Keelan came on, she talked about House, and he's good in House. George Wendt's good in House. He's also good in Fletch with Chevy Chase. Gonna miss him. There's a really awesome picture on the internet of John Candy at a White Sox game, and George Wendt's in the booth with them too. It's
also the super fans.
Yeah, and that I always thought was awesome because he took time just to come out and do the super fans. I mean, it wasn't like he was in other sketches. You know what I mean?
Yeah. tornado named Dicka. But yeah, he was great, man. It sucks that all these people from our past are going, but that's life, as they say. But we lost two prominent stars on television and one from a cult classic that we loved. So rest in peace to all of them. Just sucks, my man.
And real quick before we go on, I just want to bring up this point in the comments. The Robert Patrick running the sporting goods store.
Baby.
I probably have rewound the scene when Tony goes and yells at him at least 75. That's probably one of the, because the T-1000 is like literally one of the toughest bad guys of all time. And then to see him like that, you talk about a great actor. And I love him on the X-Files.
Yeah, he's also in the Peacemaker series.
Yeah. Fire in the Sky.
Fire in the Sky, he's also in. He's a good actor, Robert Patrick.
Awesome.
He did a podcast where he explained his troubles with alcoholism. It's really, really good. I can't think of the name of it, but he's awesome. My favorite part from The Sopranos is when he tells Tony, "I'm sorry, I just been having some bad luck."
Yeah.
And Tony slaps him, is like, "It's about to get worse," and he starts beating the shit out of him, which I thought was hilarious.
He was excellent on True Blood too. Yep.
Yeah, Robert Patrick, man, good dude, great character actor.
Brother's awesome as the singer of Filter.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. See,
They
you
got
learn
some
more
cool
stuff.
You look up some cool pictures of them, like just like hanging out.
That's pretty crazy. I didn't know that. See, you learn new stuff every time you come in here and watch our show, yo. No, but yeah. RIP to all them, and Gordo, we miss you, my friend. Continue to get healthy, buddy. Hopefully we will see you soon.
Yes.
But yeah, our rest in peace to all the actors that have passed within the past 2 weeks. Sorry to bring up this stuff to kind of make you guys a little depressed, but
Andy! You goonie!
there's something to cleanse the palate a little bit.
Yes, there you go.
So, my friend, let's get into the Mission Impossible series, the main event of the show, the meat and potatoes, as I say. Let's start off with our first film, my man.
Red light, green light. You come up against a lock you can't pick, you mash them together. Hasta lasagna, don't get any on you.
1996's Mission Impossible, which was directed by Brian De Palma, who did The Untouchables, Carlito's Way, Casualties of War, Tony's favorite Scarface, Dress to Kill, and Blowout. It stars Tom Cruise, Ving Rhames, John Voight, Emmanuel Burt, Emilio Estevez, Jean Reno, and Henry Kazerny? I always mess up his name. It has a box office of $457 million on a $80 million budget. And so it wouldn't be a show without me messing up somebody's name. But this is the first film in the series, my friend. Tell me what you think about it.
I got Paramount Plus, and they just been playing these movies, which has been great, honestly, that we took the 2 weeks, because I probably watched these movies quite a few times now. But honestly, I saw this movie in the theater when it came out, and I kind of walked away like, nah. Having a lot of conversations and rewatching it in later years, I've had a couple conversations with Adam, who's been on the show, and he really loves the movie. It's his favorite one. And a relook at it is, and then comparing it to the newer ones, it's cool. It's different. It's its own different thing. I like it because it's more of a whodunit spy mystery than maybe some of the newer ones are a little bit more action based. Brian De Palma, of course, great director. You know, you mentioned some of the greatest movies of all time right there. Scarface. No, I'm just kidding. But there's a lot of good actors in the movie, you know. Honestly, I hate to say it, but I think John Voight does a great job in the movie.
Bud Kilmer?
What'd you say?
Bud Kilmer?
Yeah, Bud Kilmer. I also think it's kind of cool always because Tom Cruise and Emilio Estevez have to be friends. Just this week, we watched The Outsiders at school, and they're both in that, younger. So you got to say that they have to have some kind of a camaraderie. I always like to see that. Gene Reno, always a fan of him. He's in some new movie where it's just him and a penguin. It's cute if you're looking for a good feel-good story to watch. But again, I like it because it's a little bit different than the newer ones. Didn't like it at first as much as I like it now. How about you?
I really enjoyed it when I first saw it. I bought the game for N64 to play as Ethan Hunt. Of course, this film is based off the series that was released in '66, and then it was revived in 1988 for 2 seasons. It's kind of funny when I was doing research for this particular film, that they actually asked the original cast to come back and be killed off in Act 1, and they all refused. The thing that shocked me the most is that the Mighty Duck Man gets killed right in the beginning of the film. And I didn't know he was uncredited, even though I credited him in the starring role. And they just did it to kind of have as that shock value for, the moviegoers, even though at the time, like, Emilio's career was kind of on the downward, projection. He was still a big name, and he kind of did this too as a favor to Tom Cruise, because, like you said, they have a working relationship. Tom Cruise is actually in Young Guns. He appears as a cowboy that gets shot. Just one day he was walking over from, I think maybe he was doing Days of Thunder. I think he was filming one film he was filming. He just happened to be on set, walked over dressed up as a cowboy, and he's one of the cowboys that gets shot in the shootout at the end of the film, which I thought was kind of cool. So this is a payback for Emilio to come over and get killed in his film. I love the fact that they have Ving Rhames, who's another great character actor with a full range. He can do anything. He plays a hacker, which kind of kills all those stereotypes of a hacker. When you think of a hacker, you think of mostly predominantly white, dorky, skinny, glasses. Ving Rhames is a huge dude. Of course, he's African American, and he's a big hack. He's muscular and all that stuff. Like, he's a hacker I wouldn't want to mess with. Just a great, enjoyable film. Jon Voight is good in the film. Immanuelle Biart, I think her name is very awesome in it. Gene Reno, any film, I love him, and he's one of my favorite actors of he's a French actor. He's also great in Godzilla, even though that movie's horrible. But it has a lot of action in it. It's a slow burn. It keeps you guessing. It has a spaghetti plot, but it works out, unlike The Outsider, which was horrible. It has probably cool CGI for the time, even though now it isn't that great. And yes, Sam, this film would have been even better if Jon Voight was Cerrone from Anaconda. He should play that role in everything he does, even when he talks to like the public about being an ambassador to Hollywood. He should be Cerrone. But I really enjoyed this film.
A couple cool things. The soundtrack actually is pretty awesome. Danny Elfman was involved, but the theme, track 1, theme for Mission Impossible, like the first single that there was released, the only single released from it, was the drummer and bass player from U2. They do the theme of the Mission Impossible, which actually comes out really well. It's more of an electronic soundtrack with Massive Attack, but also things like the Cranberries is on there also, Bjork, Pulp. An interesting soundtrack. It sold 500,000 copies. Not bad at all. But I think soundtrack 2 for the second film is a little bit better, which we're going to dig into here in a little while. But it's cool because the way the movie works, as you said, the slow burn. I think the soundtrack, really watching it here again, not just the songs that I mentioned, but the actual score does a really good job at selling at what it is.
Brian says he wants to listen to Massive Attack now because of you.
Oh, yeah. I want to jump on I want to like a helicopter to crash into a train thing now and me to fly like in the air. That's what I want to do right now. Whoa.
So a couple cool things about this film. The first film ever to open in over 3,000 US theaters. The practical effects were pretty cool. The mask removal effect was actually done entirely with practical makeup, which is pretty crazy because it still looks very, very good. Another thing too about this film is when Tom Cruise does the CD trick, where he basically does the practical effect of like sleight of hand. It's actually done for real. It's done without any CGI or camera tricks. It's actually done with sleight of hand, which I thought was pretty cool. Tom Cruise is pretty crazy, man. He deferred his $20 million fee of this film for a cut of the profits, and he earned $70 million off it, Tom.
That's pretty little bit.
And of course, we showed it in our beginning. This scene of him dropping from the wires to try not to touch the floor has been repeated and repeated in movies. It was repeated in Shrek. It was repeated in, I believe, Austin Powers. It was repeated in, you name it, it's there. It's an iconic scene that constantly is portrayed and parodied, even on television. But I cannot see anybody playing Ethan Hunt's tone. Before, it was assumed that, George Clooney, Mel Gibson, Nicolas Cage were considered for Ethan Hunt. I thought they would have all been horrible picks, to be honest with you. And it seems that Tom just got crazier as the films go on.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong.
But if you haven't seen the Mission Impossible films and you're thinking about seeing Dead Reckoning 2, I keep calling it Dead Reckoning, I don't know why. Definitely start with the first film. This series, as we go through it, has its ups and downs. And with this next film, it's definitely, in my opinion, a down.
Sorry I barged in on your vacation.
I'm sorry I didn't let you know where I was.
Don't be, it wouldn't be vacation if you did.
Well, you're sorry, and I'm sorry.
Mission Impossible 2 was released in 2000. It's directed by John Woo, who did Boiling Point, The Killer, Hard Target, Face Off. Again, it stars Tom Cruise,
Broken Arrow,
Douglas Scott, Ving Rhames, Thondui Newton, Anthony Hopkins, and Brendan Gleeson. It had a box office of $548 million on a $125 million budget. So, Tone, I rewatched this film, and the most prominent thing about this film is the soundtrack that was released on. It's that, to me, it's the of all the films, this is probably my least favorite. The soundtrack takes more precedent over the film for me because it's one of the first. It's actually, I think, the first film that Metallica ever did a soundtrack on for a film. Tom Cruise got them to do it, and he's actually in the music video for "I Disappear." Now, I know you don't like "I Disappear." I like "I Disappear." I remember
I didn't like it. I mean, it's like the Chili Peppers. And you've done every time I've been like, what song I really like is the song from Coneheads, and you every single time you go, there's a lot more better songs that are deeper cuts than that song. That's how I feel.
I like the Squeeze.
I know you like it, just like I like "I Disappear," but there are other songs.
Oh yeah, but that's not even my favorite song on the soundtrack. My favorite song from the soundtrack is Chris Cornell.
Oh, I thought it was Limp Bizkit.
No, it's Chris Cornell on a Mission. And there's actually an acoustic version of that song that's really good. But I think the soundtrack had Limp Bizkit. It had Butthole Surfers. It has Foo Fighters doing grab a cigar, a Pink Floyd.
Have a cigar.
Yeah. Pink Floyd cover. I like that soundtrack. The movie, not so much. What'd you think about it?
It's of course. I've read a couple polls. It wasn't. I mean, you're the first person saying it's the worst of the series, which is fine. I don't really, with these type of movies, I can't. These are like, it's different for me. Like I can't, like it's different than like other movies where I could like nitpick. They're like action movies, okay? John Woo does a certain type of action, and to be fair, it has been honestly in later years that I've appreciated, like especially like his Face Off and Broken Arrow, because when I first saw him, it was almost like, what is this? This is almost too mindless. But you almost got to go into it with a mindless feel. The first thing I'll say that we always laughed about the most when this movie come out was his hair. I thought his hair was ridiculous. Like in the first, I mean, Tom Cruise with long hair, it didn't sell it for me for the role. But that's with that aside. I definitely agree that it has that reputation of not being fair, because Cruise unleashes one too many flying spin kicks. That is a little bit of things that have set people off, or him just free climbing on the side of a rock. That was also a problem, but I think a lot of people had a problem with that before they realized what he's been doing in some of the last ones. Now they just know. I was just reading today that new movie coming out called F1 with Brad Pitt, that they didn't even want Tom Cruise to approach him because they knew he would take the stunts to another level that they would be too afraid to do, which is Tom Cruise, you know what I mean? But again, Anthony Hopkins, he's ridiculous in this one. But I agree, it's definitely in the bottom half of the Mission Impossible series. Like this scene right here, I got on the screen with that hair. Looks like me if I took my hat off right now.
He was in Magnolia. It's not Magnolia, is it? What's the name of that movie where is it Magnolia?
Yeah, dramatic performance is a little different than action hanging off the side of a rock.
I mean, Steven Seagal had a ponytail and he ran. But
are you comparing Steven Seagal and Tom Cruise? I hope not.
Tom Cruise had long hair and Steven Seagal had long hair.
I'm talking about their acting and the roles that they're playing.
Tom Cruise
long hair. Conan the Barbarian, Arnold has long hair, and I think it's great. I'm just saying, Ethan Hunt, and then you go to 3 and he doesn't have long hair anymore. So why isn't it consistent then? Did he decide he's growing it out?
Different times, man. Yeah, different times. Ethan Hunt's a chameleon.
Different times. They're like 3 years apart.
Okay, Ethan Hunt is a chameleon. Okay. Cruise did 95% of his stunts, lying to insurers about using doubles. So as Tone said, he is becoming crazier and crazier with stunts. I think one of the things that let me down a little bit, Tone, is that this film is directed by John Woo, and I'm a huge fan of John Woo, and I expected more from it, especially with Tom Cruise and John Woo in it.
When you say expect more, what are you expecting more from this?
This film wasn't as visually pleasing to me as some of John Woo's movies. I just that to me, it's just I like his. I do like some of the stunts in here. I do like the motorcycle stunt that he does. When he goes through the fire and stuff like that, I thought that was cool. But
can I make one joke?
Uh-huh.
It's kind of like saying we just listened to John Lennon's new solo album, and you're like, I really just don't think this holds up to the Beatles material. Well, John Woo's best material is never going to be anything that I think he's put out in America, and he is a great director. But what came after this? What's John Woo done? You know more than me. You could probably look it up now and say it faster. And if there's anything good or even, I'm trying to think.
Bro,
I mean, what?
He did The Killer, man.
The new one? The new one?
He did direct that one. He did Wind Talkers. Wind Talkers was awesome. He did Red Cliff. They're not American movies, but Red Cliff was really good. I want
to tell you something right now, and I'm gonna give you this right now because you always give me very positive. You're gonna watch this and watch that for you, and on this show, I'm gonna give Wind Talkers a second chance because me and my friend went and seen it in the movie theater, and I'm shocked we didn't get thrown out. And I don't know why. I think it was because you brought up Jared Leto's performance. I think it was just Nicolas Cage. I just didn't buy him when I was that young in that role. But I love Nicolas Cage now, so I'm really willing to give this movie another chance.
Oh, he's horrible in the film.
Oh well, now I'm not.
I just like the story of Wind Talkers.
Great. Story is a great story.
His lines in that movie are so bad.
But as a kid, we were like, "What's going on here? This isn't." But John Woo, though, I agree. But then again, when we get to the next one, I'm curious to hear your response on that. What did you think of the action scenes in this movie? They could have been better.
I thought they were good. They're when I rewatched it, I wasn't like into it. Like I thought they were maybe because I'm spoiled by the newer ones. It could be that too.
That's fair. That's why I didn't think I liked them. I had to go back to watch them, but this one definitely is lower.
The Woo cut apparently was 3.5 hours long, and they cut it to 2 hours.
The Woo cut.
Yeah, the Woo cut. It's apparently the John Woo cut. Was 3.5 hours long, and they kind of cut it down to 2. Which I mean, I don't know if I could watch this Mission Impossible movie that's 3.5 hours long, to be honest with you. But it just, I did find it funny that there was a love scene supposed to be filmed, and John Woo didn't like it, so he made it into a car chase scene, which I thought was hilarious. But and then like the stuff with the sunglasses, the Oakleys.
Oh, that was
stupid. They kept showing them, and I'm like, I mean, yeah, it's just like, come on, man. Like, I know in the first film Apple was shown predominantly, but it's like that's getting to the point where like, yo, you're getting all these damn product placements. It's getting kind of ridiculous. And Tom Cruise was smart again. He, withgone his normal fee and basically made $100 million off this film. Also, shout out to Ronnie Woo. Ryan, he is sick, but he's not better than John Woo. And then, I think Anthony Hopkins is kind of underutilized in this film. I don't even know why he was in the film, to be honest with you. I don't know. I just did not like this film. I'm sorry. I tried to like it. I just didn't like it. I just couldn't get into it, Tone. I couldn't. Well, and I love John Woo.
I just think of like these movies kind of like as children, and like you may just like one a whole lot less than the others. But if you bought the box set, I would still watch this one at least every time I watch the other ones because it's part of the series. But I could see your point of it being because I'll have some problems with the later movies we're going to talk about, but we'll get to that. But this movie, though, is, I think, if not the worst, one of the worst ones in the series. I agree with you.
The crazy thing is, Doug Ray Scott, who plays the villain in this film, was originally cast as Wolverine in X-Men, but had to drop out due to injuries from filming and schedule overruns, and he was replaced by Hugh Jackman. Man, he really missed out. And
Sure
Ian McKellen was offered the role of Swanbeck, which went to Anthony Hopkins, and thank God he didn't accept it because he would have likely missed out on the X-Men films as well as the Lord of the Ring films. Now, I know you're not a huge fan of Lord of the Ring films, but that's some big money that Ian McKellen made there.
Sure did.
But yeah, this film it just wasn't that great to me. And this kind of like summarizes it for me. The film was shipped under the name of Dollhouse to avoid piracy.
Nice.
So that just shows you that horrible film. It should have had vampires or something in it. It would have been kind of cool, but I don't know. It just wasn't that great. Wow, Wind Talker sounds like a fart. That's horrible, John. But moving on to the next film, my friend.
Mr. Bressel, it's unacceptable to judge Agent Ferris's competence.
It's unacceptable that chocolate makes you fat, but I've eaten my share, and guess what?
Mission Impossible 3, released in 2006, directed by J.J. Abrams, who did Star Wars Rise of the Skywalker, The Force Awakens, Star Trek Into the Darkness, Super 9, and the original Star Trek remake. It stars Tom Cruise again, Michelle Monaghan, Ving Rhames, Lawrence Fishburne, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Billy Crudup, Simon Pegg, and Maggie Q. The movie had a box office of $398 million and a budget of $150 million. Tell me what you think about this one.
Earlier, you had brought up who you had felt was the greatest actor, which we could agree with. One of the other great actors, I think, of our time, sadly, he's no longer around, plays the villain in this movie, Philip Seymour Hoffman, which when you really think about it, that was pretty awesome that they were able to land him and he was able to do this. And this is in, again, the Mission Impossible series, because I think he just does a really great job in this movie. And that kind of is what brings me to this movie, is why I enjoy it.
So This film, I think, bounced back very, very well for my, you know, interest in the series. I said I didn't really like MI2. I really like this film. Philip Seymour Hoffman is a big reason. I love that Lawrence Fishburne's in this film. I like that Billy Crudup's in this film, and I like that Simon Pegg's actually added this film. And Simon Pegg, who's mostly known as a comedic actor, of course, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, he's also a huge Star Wars nerd, which is kind of funny too. He's actually in Star Wars, The Force Awakens. He's in the beginning. He plays one of the monsters. But he's a great character actor. He does a great job in this film as well as the substance films that follow. I really, really like this film. I'm glad they came back with a better, idea of a film. I'm a huge fan of Maggie Q too. Great action actress. She's also in the Expendables Part 2. She's in a couple other films that I enjoyed her in. Just a great cast that really, really played well together. This film brought me back to the Mission Impossible series, as I say. So I really, really enjoyed it.
I like how you said that. It brought you back. Like
Yeah.
you left. Like, I'm gone. I'm out. No, you were. And I know that because we love movies so much. Honestly, to be fair, I didn't see part 2 until later. Because that's how turned off by part 1 I was. So, like, to be fair, I didn't actually see part 2 for the first time until 5-6 years ago. And so it was when, honestly, me and Katie went and saw Fallout that I went back and watched all of them, because honestly, I disliked 1 that much where I was just like, what is this? So I feel you. I wasn't even there for 2. So when I say 2's watchable, it's only because, so if you saw it, did you see it in the movie theater right when it came out?
2, yeah.
So now I understand your reasoning, because with 1 being so it's just very technical. 2 is just not technical at all. And this one, it brings back a little bit more of almost like a little James Bond. It feels like, there's a little more intrigue than part 2, throwing glasses. That's just silly. And J.J. Abrams, it's cool to have him behind the camera. He is a good director, I feel. I really like Super 8. I thought that movie was awesome. So he does a good job here.
Yeah, he does. Tom Cruise took a pay cut for this film to help with finance. The mask making process was finally shown how they do it with the computer, which I thought was kind of cool. Davian Littlefield, who Philip Seymour Hoffman plays, is just a badass villain. Like you really hate him. Like, he's cold, calculated, and like he's not really likable. But you kind of respect him too. Like, it is kind of a badass, even though he's not really physically imposing. He's still a pretty scary character. And I think that I love the fact that Philip Seymour Hoffman was able to portray that. We lost him way too soon. He's also like one of my favorite roles as Sandy Lyle in Along King Polly. Even though that movie's not great, his character always cracks me up because he was in Crocodile Tears.
That is true. That is true.
But this movie is made great because of him, and I do like the rest of the cast that surrounded him. Now, for the cast, there was actually a bunch of people that were actually attached, but eventually fell off. Like Carrie Ann Moss was briefly attached as a new character before Abrams scrapped her. Carrie Russell was trained for her role. She eventually got, but that was originally a Scarlett Johansson film.
Where did I go?
Whoa, wow, what are you doing there?
I know, I'm playing with some things here.
A Scarlett Johansson film that
wrong things here. Sorry. I'm coming.
Yeah, Scarlett Johansson film. Character that was supposed to come in, and that eventually went to Carrie Russell. And then, of course, Maggie Q coming in series, and she's going to be in a future episode feature in the film series. But this is her like introduction. I thought she was pretty cool in it. A lot of action, cool stunts, and a lot of car crashes in it too.
Yeah.
Tons of car crashes, which I thought was pretty crazy. But they pulled me back in. As Sam says, they first I was out and they pulled me back into the series, and I really enjoyed this one. So it was a comeback. And you saw the first one in theaters and see any of the other ones until later. I saw the first two in theaters. This film I saw when it came out on video.
Oh, so there you go.
Because I was not going to see it in theaters because I was so disgusted, as they say. But I was disgusted. I just didn't. I'm like, I don't want to spend money on Mission Impossible, especially when I didn't like the last one.
This one in a recent polling was the 5th best one that they enjoyed. Honestly, I might put it a little bit higher. I really think it's definitely better than the last two, and part 2. So I would definitely think it's better than those 3. But it's a great.
You saw part 2 already? The new one?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But we'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
Because I feel this is a very what's the word I'm looking for? The story's great. Bad guy. I think the problem in the last 2 movies, which we'll get to later, is the bad guy isn't as solid as the bad guy is in this movie.
Yeah, and I said Maggie Q's in the other ones. This is the only film she appears in, but they should bring her back, man.
They should do a spinoff like Ballerina.
Yeah, I watch it. Maggie Q's awesome, She's a badass. But enough of my Maggie Q love. Let's go on to the next film in the series.
Why am I Pluto? It's not even a planet anymore.
Well, I think Uranus is available.
It's funny because you said anus.
Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol is when we stopped getting the 4s and the 5s, and they just started giving them subtitles. 2011 it was released. It's directed by Brad Bird, who did The Incredibles 1 and 2, The Iron Giant, with Vin Diesel's probably best movie, and Ratatouille. It stars Tom Cruise, Jeremy Renner, Simon Pegg, and Paula Patton's in this film. It had a box office of $694 million and a budget of $145 million. Tell me about Ghost Protocol, my friend.
I like this movie a lot. I think it's visually looks really awesome. I think his stunts are. I think this is where the stunts become a little bit different than the movies before this. Like the ones before this seem to be filmed really awesome. This one, I think he's doing a lot more, and the camera work is letting him doing a lot more crazy stuff. When he is on the window or whatnot, that scene is totally crazy. I like a lot of the actors in this too. I mean, Jeremy Renner, I think, is a fine addition to the series. I like the name too. I always thought Ghost Protocol was a cool name for a movie.
Yeah, I actually like this film. I do like the addition of Jeremy Renner's character as Brandt, which is kind of like when I first saw this film, I thought, what everybody else was kind of thinking is Brandt going to kind of take over for Tom Cruise going forward, because I believe, is this the one where he gets married, right? He gets married in this one?
Yes, I believe so.
Married.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe this was kind of like a signing off of the Tom Cruise, Ethan Hunt character, and Jeremy Renner would take over. But man, was I wrong. For this film, the Paramount's 100th anniversary logo debuted with this film, which is kind of cool. You have a sandstorm that was shot really awesome. In this film.
Three.
He gets married. Oh, he gets married in 3. Okay, this is the one where they say they kill his wife, supposedly. Yeah. So this one, the only thing I didn't like about this film was that Ving Rhames only appears at the end of the movie. Like he's part. Luther's got to be part of the series, man. I mean, Benji's in here. But then again, I thought too, are they trying to replace Luther with Benji? Like, what the hell, man? Like, Ving Rhames needs to be in here.
Maybe Ving Rhames' schedule, he was too busy filming Chuck and Larry. I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry. He could not get out of
God, what is he doing, man? 25 minutes of this film was shot using IMAX 70mm cameras for all you IMAX fans and cinema snobs out there. We also see Jeremy Renner do the iconic wire hang pose when he falls on top of the fan. He's then there's more comedy in this film too, which I thought was kind of a nice touch. With Simon Pegg, of course, you're gonna have some comedy. There's a little bit more in this film, which I thought was a nice touch to it. And as we go through these, later films, it's add more and more into it, which I think makes the films kind of fresh a little bit. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, I think they it just I like the cinematography, I think, in this movie. It's not to say 1, 2, and 3 didn't have great cinematography. I think the movies get better cinematographically as the movies go on here. Maybe because they're shooting different locales and stuff. It makes it look really awesome.
Yeah, and this is the first film of the series that no full face hero mask were worn, which is a first in the series. You have Vanessa Redgrave, who was Max in the last film. She declined to come in this film, so she was kind of written out. And this film actually broke the franchise over $2 billion in global box office revenue. These are money makers. These films. I liked everything about the film, and again, Apple is predominantly in this film, and that's because J.J. Abrams is an Apple fan. The product placement kind of gets annoying with some of these films. It really does. I don't know why it annoyed me. Maybe because it kind of reminds me of Wayne's World when he's like, when he goes through that, I will not bow to our sponsors. And they're while doing sponsored bids. That's what it reminds me of. But this film, it just had a lot of it in it, and I was, but I liked it. I liked it. I liked the whole, when they're listening in the conversation for, the deal to go down, he's outside the building, stuff like that. I thought Runner added a great, substance to the cast and kind of mixed it up and made it a little better and more enjoyable.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree.
Yeah, and as I was reading, Brant was initially written as Cruise's eventual replacement. So what I thought was probably true, but dun dun dun, there's some changes there. So Tone, there's not really much more we can say about this one without moving on to the next film, which is Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation.
Hunt is uniquely trained and highly motivated. A specialist without equal, immune to any countermeasures. There is no secret he cannot extract, no security he cannot breach, no person he cannot become. He has most likely anticipated this very conversation and is waiting to strike in whatever direction we move. Sir, Hunt is the living manifestation of destiny, and he has made you his mission.
I love that line. That's beautifully delivered by Alec Baldwin. Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation was released in 2015. It's directed by Christopher McQuarrie, who directed Way of the Gun, Jack Reacher, Fallout. He also did Dead Reckoning Part 1, and he just did the second film, The Final Reckoning. He also wrote The Usual Suspects. From our deep dive, you might remember hearing his name. This film stars Tom Cruise, Simon Pegg, Rebecca Ferguson, Jeremy Renner, and Alec Baldwin. Tone, tell me about Rogue Nation.
I like Alec Baldwin's addition to the series. I think it's I think he does a fine job. Just again, being a part of it. But again, it is a fun movie. He flaunts his superhuman lungs in this movie, where he holds his breath for 6 minutes during a terrifying underwater break-in, which that scene is really incredible. But it's definitely, I like the way all the characters interact with one another. Cruise not only is awesome in these movies, but he does a good job also, he is the star, but when he's on the screen with other actors, he does let them cook and let them do their part of what they need to do and makes the movie better, because back to the Seagal movies, you know, I mean, he's literally like hogging the scenes in every single movie because if he doesn't, he's going to get mad. We're like, Cruise definitely lets it air out and lets Jeremy Renner do his thing. Even Baldwin in the scene that you're playing, everyone gets to have their time and have their fun in these movies, which I think is really awesome. It's very, you know, just the Syndicate. That's generally where I say, like, I like, you know, it becomes more of a group that has been hunting or trying to go after Ethan, and it's just very interesting stuff.
Yeah, one thing I like about this film is they brought back my man Luther is back in this film,
There
which
you
I
go.
love. Also, Solomon Lane's actually in the original series, and he's one of the villains from there. They actually brought him back to be played by Sean Harris, who I think did a very, very good job of playing him as a badass character who was like imprisoned, and the way they had him locked up, that was kind of cool. Of course, you mentioned Tom Cruise with his stunt of holding his breath for 6 minutes, which is a record at the time, which is crazy. You know, when he was strapped to the plane, and he just takes off with him on it. He was 5,000 feet in the air, and they did 8 takes of that, bro. Would you do that?
No.
Tom Cruise, the older he gets, the crazier he gets. I mean, maybe Scientology is telling him to do all these things. It's just ridiculous what he's doing. You know that Tom Cruise wears a very predominant shirt in this film. Do you know what it is?
Refresh my memory. I forgot about his shirt.
He wears a Bruce Springsteen shirt.
Oh, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, he wears a Bruce Springsteen Born in the USA shirt, and he personally called Bruce Springsteen to make sure it was okay to wear it.
Oh, thanks, Bruce.
This film has a lot of crazy stunts. I thought the story was very good. They kind of just cut off like Julia. I guess they kind of made, which was his wife in the other films. I guess they kind of made that they're divorced and they're not together anymore. But with the addition of Rebecca Ferguson, I thought she did a awesome job in her part, and actually enjoyed her in all the films that followed with her in it. Again, it's she plays Ilsa Faust, which she's MI6 for Britain, which I thought was kind of cool. And I do like the fact that the you know, Mission Impossible was it Mission Impossible Force? That's what they're called, MIF, or Impossible Mission Force, MIF. They kind of interact with other government agencies that are real, like MI6, which I thought was kind of cool. I like the plot of this film too a lot. You know, it was interesting to me. Also, of course, it is filmed overseas, and Tom Cruise was really, really loving to film overseas. This one's filmed, some of it's filmed in Spain, you know, all over the place. But the crazy thing about this film, Tone, is that Tom Cruise is only 5 years younger in this film than John Voight was in the first film.
Wow. That's crazy.
Also,
you know, the movie just is a little bit, seems more confident than the movies before it. Like, that opening scene is a really awesome scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the gunshot scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's basically it's homage to an Alfred Hitchcock film, The Man Who Knew Too Much, which I thought was kind of cool. Tom Cruise and Simon Pegg did their own driving stunts. One of my favorite parts in the film is when he tells him, "Are you wearing your seatbelt?" And he's like, "You're asking me that now?" When like all that stuff is getting torn up, which I always thought was hilarious. Again, comedy is used in this film, and I thought it was done very, very well. You know, the movies, are they great Oscar winners? No, but they're becoming enjoyable, and they are what they are. But I did like the plot of this film. And this is the first film where, one, the villain lives, he doesn't get killed, Solomon Lane goes back to jail, and two, Ethan Hunt isn't in the final scene of the film.
Oh, very interesting.
So I wonder if Tom Cruise is 5 years younger than John Voight in this film, can Tom Cruise play Cerrone in Anaconda.
Well, they are coming out with that new Anaconda movie. Maybe they could have called him up.
He was Les Grossman. I'm pretty sure he could do Cerrone.
I'd much rather see if he could play what's his name in Varsity Blues, Bud
Kilmer.
Yeah, I'd rather see if he could do that.
There's another great line. Are you okay? You were dead like 2 minutes ago. Are you okay to drive? You were dead like 2 minutes ago. This movie had a lot of great one-liners in it. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed this film. So if you haven't, check it out. It's on Paramount. On to the next one, my man.
What are you waiting for? I'm jumping out a window! What do you mean you're jumping out of a... Oh, sorry, I had it in 2D. Good luck.
Mission Impossible Fallout was released in 2018. Again, Christian McQuarrie comes back to direct this film, and again it stars Tom Cruise, Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, Rebecca Ferguson, Sean Harris, Angela Bassett, Michelle Monaghan comes back as Julia, and Vanessa Kirby along with Henry Cavill. The movie had a box office of $824 million on a $178 million budget. Sam says Henry Cavill is a dreamboat. Is it Cavill or Cavill? I'm guessing Cavill, right?
Cavill,
Henry Cavill. Thank you. I was totally wrong on that. What the hell's wrong with me? This film, one of the significant things I'm missing from this film is Jeremy Renner's not in the film, and there are several reasons to why he wasn't in this film. After Rogue Nation, he revealed on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast that Paramount approached him to return for Fallout 2018. They intended to bring me over for a week so they could kill my character, William Brandt. He wasn't willing to reprise the role, only to be written off, stating, if you're going to use my character, you're going to do it right. He also had scheduling conflicts with Marvel films. He was doing Avengers Infinity War and then Endgame, which kind of didn't match up with it. And then he also said that the extensive location shoots, especially in London for Fallout, would have kept him away from his 11-year-old daughter, Ava, for over a year. So he turned down the role to avoid separation. So unfortunately, that kind of made his character not appear, which destroyed the whole Brandt taking over for Cruz storyline, which I thought sucked. Don't tell me if he's in the new one, Tone. I don't want to know. But hopefully he is. But, that kind of killed it for me in terms of Brandt, because I really liked that character. I thought he was kind of cool, with Tom Cruise kind of being like the Mr. Miyagi to his Daniel-san. But unfortunately, it didn't work out. One of the best parts of this film, I think, Tone, is the fight with Henry Cavill. Cavill? Henry Cavill. Henry C. in the bathroom. It's a pretty badass fight scene there. What you think of it?
I think a great scene. This is my favorite Mission Impossible. I think it's got everything. It's got two awesome bad guys. It's got, again, awesome action, awesome set pieces. Seeing it on the big screen was amazing. Tom Cruise is just awesome in this movie. And as you mentioned, Henry Cavill in the bathroom, that scene's awesome. That fight on the mountainside at the end after the helicopters crash, that whole scene is awesome. Movie just really brings it.
That's crazy. I'm just reading something that Cavill had to keep his mustache due to contract clauses, resulting in expensive CGI removal for Justice League.
Yeah, you'd ever seen the bad CGI? It's up there with the De Niro kicking type stuff.
Oh my god. This is the first Mission Impossible film I saw in theaters. Cool, Sam. Another crazy thing about this film is Simon Pegg wasn't required to, but he got an 8-pack just from training, earning him the name 8-Pack Peggles. What? These are real trivia facts that I found on the internet. Luther is in this film, and he's the only character to appear in all of the MI films with Tom Cruise. Again, Julia is in this film, and she's remarried, I guess, to a guy. The beginning of the film is awesome too, where he just runs off when they're driving the car, and he's like, "Where's he going?" He's like, "I don't ask the questions." Simon Pegg says, which I thought was hilarious. This is a direct sequel to Rogue Nation, which is kind of a first in the series to have a direct plot sequel. And, again, is done in the next film, which has a direct plot sequel. But I thought that was kind of cool that they kind of continued it. They mixed it up a little bit. I like this film a lot as well. It's not my favorite in the series, but it's close ties for second, this one and the first film. The next film is actually my favorite, which I know you're going to disagree with, but let's get into it, my man.
The next world war isn't going to be a cold one. It's going to be a shooting war. It's going to be a ballistic war over a rapidly shrinking ecosystem. It's going to be a war for the last of our dwindling energy, drinkable water, breathable air. Whoever controls the entity controls the truth.
Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 was released in 2023 and it's directed by Christopher McQuarrie. This film also stars Tom Cruise, Haley Atwell, Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, Rebecca Ferguson, Sean Wingham, Isai Morales, and Vanessa Kirby. It had a box office of $571 million and a budget of $291 million. Tell me why you're not a big fan of this one.
Well, tell me, are you a fan? Well, first of all, you have no problem ever saying S.A. Morales' name or any name. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Like that. No, but that's why you like it so much, because Bob's in it. I know
Bob does have a reason for me liking this film, but I'll tell you about it when you tell me why you don't like it.
This is some of the reasons why is that, and this is one of the most annoying things sometimes Hollywood does is when they take a movie and they try to split it into two parts, because it doesn't give the movie a really what I feel is an authentic ending. It doesn't leave it satisfied. You have to wait for the second part to get it. And the movie's already how long? You know what I mean? Like you should get a satisfying ending and know that there's a second movie to be done. You know what I mean? It is the longest in the series. That's okay. It's the plot, really. It's the first time where I feel like the plot there's a lot going on. And with the Syndicate, that was fine, but now we're going up even more into something with AI, which is, I think it was just a step too far. It's not a bad movie by any stretch. I don't hate the movie like you hate Part 2. I don't hate any of these movies. I just think that after Fallout, which was a very concise, tight picture with Henry Cavill doing an awesome job, and as mentioned before, but it's just not a bad movie either. You know what I mean? When you see the second part, it kind of wraps it all up. So, you know what I mean?
Well, I would hope so.
Well, I mean, it does, but like, we're going to get to that. I mean, it wraps it up like Cliche City. You know what I mean? Like, of course you're going to wrap it up like you just said, but should you wrap it up like Cliche City? Well, no. So, I mean, that's it too. I mean, you answered your own question. I mean, Jeremy Renner ain't there. Lawrence Fishburne ain't there. Nobody's there. It ain't no greatest hits. It's literally a part 2.
The last film?
Yeah, it's literally the part 2 of this movie. That's literally what it is. So,
you spoiled it for me, dude.
Well, there really isn't a spoiler to it. I mean,
spoil it for me.
You would have known. Listen, you just said it a couple minutes ago. He wasn't coming out to the film for 10 minutes to kill his character off, but then they were going to bring him back.
I was hoping he'd come back in the last one, dude. I don't know. I didn't even look at
you have a little boy whim, because that was never going to happen. But go ahead. I mean, Jeremy Renner is an actor who now holds his own television shows, a bigger star than playing second fiddle to Tom Cruise. No offense. Tom Cruise is great, but Jeremy Renner could go do better work than playing second fiddle to Tom Cruise. I mean, it's just...
Yeah, but Jeremy Renner is nowhere near the level of Tom Cruise.
Well, and honestly, to be fair, in some ways, neither is Daniel Day-Lewis.
In terms of box office, I would agree.
And in part, sometimes acting too. Tom Cruise has worked with better directors than Daniel Day-Lewis has.
I don't think Tom Cruise can touch Daniel Day-Lewis.
Well, but like I said, a different argument for a different time. But Tom Cruise is been with better directors than Daniel Day-Lewis.
Oh, I agree. I think Tom Cruise is like one of the best actors.
And
but I
people
don't think he's better than Day-Lewis.
and good directors don't hire bad actors. That's a true story too. So you could do the math, but you're not wrong. I mean, it's a little everything, man. It can't just be one or the other. It's a little of everything. But back to this movie.
Good directors don't hire bad actors?
Well, I mean, what
That's
movie?
not technically true.
Well, in the Cruise of Tom Cruise, what movie that he worked with a director that he was bad in and the movie was bad?
Tom Cruise? Actually, Tom Cruise doesn't really have too many bad. I mean, Cocktail, I guess, would be considered horrible.
Awesome movie, though.
But I mean, we like it, but I mean, it wasn't like a commercial. Like, it's a cult classic, I would assume.
Well, yes, and being if you
The
want
Mummy.
In a movie that flopped more than Cocktail was Big Trouble in Little China, and we love that movie.
Yeah, but it doesn't have the mystique as
actually, Brian. We're arguing about that.
Brian,
if we did a 5-on-5 next time, I'll definitely, because to be fair, you would have laughed. I removed Cocktail for Pee Wee Herman documentary. Cocktail is what I was going to go with. So
I like Cocktail, but I'm not saying it's like.
I know what I'm saying is like Scorsese, Ron Howard, you know what I mean? Cameron Crowe, Paul Thomas Anderson, Brian De Palma, John Woo. I mean, these guys are all better than some of the best of all time. Spielberg. I mean, I personally like, Tony Scott. We keep going.
I mean, that Lewis won an Oscar for Lincoln, right?
What'd you say?
Lewis won an Oscar for Lincoln with Steven Spielberg, and he's worked with Paul Thomas Anderson, and he's worked with Richard Attenborough. So I mean, he's worked with Scorsese.
3, that's 4.
He's worked 2 Scorsese, Michael Mann.
Yeah, but again, now you're taking directors, you're taking box office, you're taking all of it.
You just said that Tom Cruise has worked with great. I'm telling you that Daniel Day-Lewis has worked with his share
I say
of
he
great
didn't?
actors.
What? Hold on a second. I never said Daniel Day-Lewis didn't.
But you said Tom Cruise has worked.
No,
with
I'm saying that
actors.
people put Tom Cruise down as an actor, and you can make a fair.
I've never said that Tom Cruise is the best. I think Tom Cruise is a phenomenal actor.
I never actually said you did either. You're just arguing the points of what I'm trying to say, and the point is that I was making is that one can make the argument that Tom Cruise is just as good or better than Daniel Day-Lewis. And my backup is that Tom Cruise has worked with great directors, more great directors that possibly than him, the same ones. So like the thing is you actually fed right into my story. So they've actually worked with the same directors. Now let's look at those directors in the movies they were in box office. Okay. Paul Thomas Anderson, Magnolia compared to Phantom Thread. I win. Magnolia.
Okay. If you want to go by box office,
Color of Money compared
let's compare the Fast and the Furious series to the Mission Impossible series. Let's compare the Fast and the Furious series to the Godfather. We can't go by box office, dude, because the Fast and the Furious are horrible movies, and they make a lot of money.
I would argue that Color of Money is a better movie than Gangs of New York. I would argue with you not to you, but
I don't think I think the original is better than The Hustler is better.
Well, The Hustler, that's like saying that a lot of movies are Mission Impossible 1's better than the movie that you like the best. So you could do this all day long.
Your argument makes no sense. Like you're literally just shouting stuff just to argue because that makes no sense. Because you're telling me that The Color of Money is better than Gangs of New York, and I just said
you just brought up that The Hustler is better than The Color of Money. So I can go back and say I think The Color of Money. Yeah, but then you're saying that the Mission Impossible films are better than the movie I like best, which makes no sense. That makes no argument. I said the very
first argument was
first movie. You said Hustler, very first movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you said it's better than Color Money, right?
Yeah.
I said the very first Mission Impossible is better than the newest Mission Impossible. The oldest to new, the same thing. I didn't just.
But you didn't clarify that way. You said
No, that's what I said. You didn't hear it that way.
No. Play back the tape.
Go back and rewind, everyone. Producer, rewind the tape.
Play back the tape.
Yep.
But you're never gonna. I'm always gonna say Daniel Day-Lewis is the best actor.
Well,
that's my opinion.
That's not the point. The point is that like. You did it with Mission Impossible 2. You're doing it now in this argument. It's a very quick shutdown. All I'm saying
No,
is
it's not
you
shut down
can't
because
make the argument.
Mhm.
Can you make the argument that Tom Cruise could be in a ballpark with Daniel Day-Lewis?
I
Or no?
think Tom Cruise is actually in the top 5 greatest actors we ever had, and that's for somebody who didn't go to high school.
I don't see. That's the silliest part about our argument. If you would have said that, the argument would never would have happened. Because my point is that he can be argued as being a great actor. People don't do that though. People would much rather talk about Pacino and De Niro.
I think, to be honest, I think Tom Cruise is a better actor than Al Pacino.
Well, and now we're getting into where this conversation is amazing, and we're getting somewhere because that's exactly the point I was trying to make. Thank you, Yum. Not that he's better than Daniel Day-Lewis, but that you can make an argument that he, not by box office, because he's worked with all these good directors. Directors had said, hey, we want to work with you. That being said, he's a good director. Now, is he better than Daniel Day-Lewis? No. I'm not going to win that argument, but can I say he's in the top 5? Yeah, you said it. I mean, that's the agreement.
Who are in your top 5?
It's a tough, honestly. I don't like that's. You're always going to find me arguing with people, whoever says the best.
Mhm.
If you say, I like this the best movie, I'm going to say, well, how can you say that's the best when this is also awesome? But you like
it's subjective though. But who's your top 5?
I don't have a top 5. Like, we're just talking. I mean, I guess Denzel Washington, Philip Seymour Hoffman. I mean, the thing about Daniel Day-Lewis is that my problem with him is that he just doesn't have enough work for me to like him to be the most. I love his movies that I've seen him in, but what's he got? 7 movies, 6 movies?
He's been acting since 71. But
yeah,
he's kind of like
okay, dude, you just said it. Name the movies he's in. Go to his catalog right now. You opened up the door. Let's go.
All right, Sunny Bloody Sunday, Gandhi.
You like that? That's one of your faves?
That's an uncredited role. But
Okay,
maybe this film, Gandhi, which is a good film. The
Which
Bounty,
movie?
Gandhi.
Okay.
The Bounty, which is a good film. My Beautiful Laundrette, I've never seen that one. A Room with a View, which is a decent film. Nanu, I haven't seen that one. Unbearable Lightness of Being, Stars and Bars, My Left Foot, which he won his Oscar for. Emerson, New Jersey, which is a good film. Last of the Mohicans, Age of Hennessy, The Name of the Father, The Crucible, The Boxer, Gangs of New York, Abby Singer, which he played himself in. I never seen that film. The Ballad of Jack and Rose, There Will Be Blood, 9, which I liked.
Oh, that's a great movie.
I like 9. It's a musical. I actually like Chicago too. Lincoln. See, now Lincoln, I would say was a good film. That one was really long for me to watch, and I'm not a big fan of biopic films. Phantom Thread, which was okay, and now he's in Anaman.
I don't like a lot of those movies are what I would say are artsy fartsy films, which are great in a way, but like Phantom Thread. I mean, do you think that's Paul Thomas Anderson's best work?
Oh, definitely not.
But he's good in it. Daniel Day-Lewis is great in it, and honestly, it's a good movie. I like Last of the Mohicans. I think that movie's great. Of course, like My Left Foot. As a little kid, that's where I heard of him. I mean, he's Age of Innocence. This movie's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what the thing is that Daniel Day-Lewis should have been a bad guy in the Mission Impossible movies.
I don't
now
think
we would have been.
I don't think that's the thing too. Like I don't know if he could do a role like that. Like if I can, he's a great actor, but I like as a villain. I guess Gangs of New York, he plays Bill the Butcher, but would would it appease him to be, because he's a method actor?
Yeah, but how could you then say he's and this is a different argument. He's a great actor if he can't play a villain in a Bond movie.
No, I think he could, but I'm saying I don't know.
Often.
I don't think he would want to do it to I think he takes roles that challenge him. I'm not saying that the Philip Seymour Hoffman didn't challenge that role, didn't challenge him. I'm saying
I'm just saying you're the director, he's willing to sign. Could you put him in a role?
Yeah.
Not would he want to? Well, that's a different.
I mean, it's kind of.
Pacino would want to. Pacino would sign tomorrow.
Yeah, but he needs money.
Him? But would Cruz want him? No. The difference is a lot of people would want the roles. Like John Voight. Would John Voight get this role today? No. Would he
want it? Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the problem. A lot of people want the role. And that's what makes, Simon Pegg must do a really great job because, I mean, he's been in all these movies up to this point.
Well, he's another good actor, but He's not top 5. But if I had to give you my top 5 right now, well, Daniel Lewis is at the top for me. Jack Nicholson, Denzel Washington, Gene Hackman, and my 5th will be Brando. Whoa, we got Ethan Hunt over here. Those are my 5. Are they subject to change? Possibly, but I just think that I just love Lewis's method acting. I'm just a big fan of him. And yes, like I said, it's everything's subjective, but to me, he'll always be, at least of my generation, the best actor I've ever seen.
You just keep saying your this is only for the fact of debating, not because I'm trying to be rude. It's just your generation is, you keep saying, okay, so your generation, like Brando, I can agree he can be somebody's generation's greatest, okay? Godfather, one of the greatest movies of all time. Streetcar Named Desire. I Love on the Waterfront. Great movies, Apocalypse Now. Okay, now let's go over to let's go over to Daniel Day-Lewis. Give me the movies that are that powerful by what you just named. Okay, maybe Gangs of New York. Now, see, to me, and you're gonna hate me for this. This is really where you're gonna hate me. I feel the way you feel about Scarface, about the Gangs of New York. I think the movie is, to me, boring in a lot of ways. Honestly, I think it's stupid fighting with knives. There's a lot of things we could talk about it, but he's great in it. See, that's the thing. He's awesome in it. It's Leo is stupid in it. Cameron Diaz is stupid in it, to me. But he is a good actor. I want. Now, There Will Be Blood is one of the greatest movies of all time. Okay, I will put that down, and so is maybe Last of the Mohicans. But where are more performances that you
Name of the Father? Name of the Father, The Boxer.
Those movies,
The Crucible. Oh, dude, have you seen The Name of the Father?
I've fucking seen it. Yes. I'm not getting into this conversation with someone without actually doing.
Oh, I'm saying, have you seen it though? Like, you're gonna tell me that's not a.
I didn't say it's not a great movie, but you really are really great at putting Pacino down, like putting him down like it's nothing. All right, but like, and Justice for All.
Just because you're talking about. But you're saying that you can't compare Pacino to Daniel Day-Lewis because one, Pacino took a lot of roles that he needed money for. Daniel Day-Lewis didn't. Okay, so I'll give Pacino that.
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
But it's the other person too. Hoffman's acting style didn't radically change from him screaming to Pacino.
Well, I mean that, but like that's the thing is like I think Hoffman, it's more of what Daniel Day-Lewis, the movies he's been in. To me,
yeah, but
you said subjective, and you're right.
But even let me give you an example. Pacino. So Pacino with his, and I know we're totally off topic, but this is what people like when we argue. But so for Pacino, he played Big Boy in Dick Tracy, right? He was nominated for an Oscar for that role, and he played that over the top, which that character is supposed to be over the top, right? And then you go to, and he plays Havana over the top. And then subsequently, as we go forward, most of his roles are over the top. Like do all those roles call for that?
Yeah, but let's go backwards. Let's go to Scent of a Woman. Okay.
He plays that over the top too.
Well, not really. It doesn't start over the top.
No, but I'm saying he gets there. But no, that's like.
But then what Daniel Day-Lewis then gets to play the quiet type, and he gets to.
He doesn't play a quiet type though, but. Daniel Day-Lewis plays.
Sure does. In My Left Foot, he barely speaks in the movie.
No, but he does. But yeah, but see, and he plays Bill the Butcher. Bill the Butcher isn't quiet.
Well, no.
But I'm saying Pacino adds his over-the-top screaming, which isn't necessary for his character to get through all the time.
Well, not all the time.
But he does it all the time.
So much, like I can honestly, and again, this is a topic for the future. You take 5 of the Daniel Day-Lewis movies. I'll take 5 Pacino movies, and we'll just do a straight up versus. Because the thing is that I can go back in his catalog and pick out movies that I think are better than The Boxer. Okay, you may disagree with that, and the fans out there, our fans, may agree with you. I don't. That's not the point. The point is
Pacino's in probably arguably the 2 best movies of all time.
I won't pick them. We'll take. So I will even make some consolidations. because I feel like I don't like to use easy things. I'm not going to pick The Godfather. Okay, the first one. I just want to see why Pacino then has been labeled a great actor than all this time. Because I am somebody who you can talk me into not.
No, I'm not
agreeing with
saying
either
he's
my
a
own
horrible.
point.
I'm not saying he's a horrible actor. I think that his work has deteriorated. Just like John Voight was a great actor at one time. I mean, then he did Saron from Anaconda, but he was a decent actor at one time. Harvey Keitel was a. I mean,
what do
I don't
they
know
say
if I-
about What does Two-Face say? You either stay around long enough, you're a hero until you stay long enough to become the villain.
No,
I mean,
that's not. Yeah, but is the Two-Face that says
whatever,
that?
well, whoever said it, or whatever the one is, you're the comic.
I don't read comic books, dude. I
The
don't
thing
read
about
comic
it
books.
is that your argument then is even more per se is that one guy had a longer career than the other. Then what are we doing here? Taking the best part of their career, because that's what Daniel Day-Lewis did. He wrapped it up.
But you can have a long career and still do fruitful acting. Perfect example is Robert Duvall,
Okay, name me 10 actors who have had a long career in
Clint Eastwood, Robert Duvall, Robert De Niro. Even though some of his films lately have been crappy.
No, Red De Niro's on the same track as Pacino. You can't say that. Come on. Come on.
No, I think Pacino's
Come on, we went through this
flops
before.
more flops than. I mean, Gene Hackman, before he retired.
About the golden age of actors here.
But you told me to name you actors who were older who did great.
I only have 4 still.
Morgan Freeman is another. He's still considering to go through good films. You're telling me people who are older.
Yeah, but his films have crashed out about 10 years ago. When's the last time Morgan Freeman's been in a quality movies and straight to movies with John Cusack? But
what's wrong with John Cusack?
A lot of straight to movies, straight to television. If you go right out of Cusack's last 10 movies, you haven't seen them. And I love Cusack. I would right now buy Cusack whatever he wanted if he was here. But like a lot of like nothing that is at the theater are things that are like you're seeing, which is fine. But you can't, it's the see. I like an Ethan Hawke. I think he's a good actor. Now,
yeah, but he's having a career resurgence.
But is he a top? Yeah, but the career resurgence started 15 years ago now. You know what I mean? So is it and then he's got a bunch of great movies when he was young, and you put it together. It's kind of like.
I got another one for you. Meryl Streep.
Well, now I was just going with males.
Oh,
so, but
okay.
But
Ian McKellen, Anthony Hopkins.
Ian McKellen again. Ian McKellen's got a long career, but are you really going to sit here with a straight face and say that it's as vibrant as who we're talking? It's not. He's a good actor.
No, I'm saying an actor who's had a long career and still puts out good work.
Okay, when's the last good movie he's put out?
He was in X-Men.
When's the I love you. That's why I love these conversations.
No, but Michael Caine, he did some movies. But like I said, the quality of work, Duvall is probably my best example because he did The Judge, and then he was in.
Duvall's a great example. Gene Hackman's a great example.
But I just feel like I like Pacino movies. I like Serpico. I like Carlito's Way from Pacino. I like those films from him. I think he's a good actor. But I think that he just hurt himself when he just his persona just changed to me. And it's not just me saying this; it's other people that said that his way of acting, his method of acting, changed to him screaming all the time.
Well, let me ask you one last question. When you're going by a great actor, does his watchability have to go into this at all? Like the watchability of a picture, like people in a room, people going to the show to see it, not box office numbers, but if you and your 5 best friends sit in a room and watch Carlito's Way, or you and your 5 best friends and sit in a room and watch My Left Foot, which one's going to be more impactful? You know what I mean? That's got to go into the acting roles too.
Yeah, but me and my best friends might not like the same films, which is again subjective.
But that's not how honestly, that's where again we're going to disagree, because I could sit and watch honestly, and I'll say this right now. I think Smoke Signals, which we've talked about before, is better than half of these Mission Impossible movies. You know what people would fight me for that somewhere in a parking lot? You know, I mean, that movie,
if there's somebody's fighting you over Mission Impossible, then they're not
well,
worth
I mean, but
talking to.
I mean, with 400 million people dollars in a box office, you know, someone's got to be like obsessed with this movie. So, like, that's my point: is that these movies are great. They make a lot of money.
But there's people obsessed with Star Wars, and those films weren't that great. The last three.
Well, again, you know what I mean? I could argue The Force Awakens, you know, another time.
The Force Awakens is Star Wars 1.
Again,
the same plot.
When your series, okay, George Lucas backed this series up into the garage, into the corner, okay? It was like a greatest hits album. It's like a Chili Peppers tour.
You can't really I would think of another band because they don't play their greatest hits.
Well, they play quite a well when they don't come out with a new album. I mean, they play Can't Stop. They haven't stopped playing Can't Stop in like the last 10 tours.
Yeah, but with John, he doesn't play anything Josh played, and I don't like that.
And there is where I thought about this at the very beginning. You know how much I love the Chili Peppers. You love them, we love them. Their last albums, good albums, but would you find them to be their best work?
I think you know this already. I already told you I like The Getaway better than I did the last album.
But that's where I think where I would compare these last two these Mission Impossible movies. They got a lot of good stuff in them. There's great stuff in them. But maybe these two movies were brought down to one. It could have been the best. Now, to be fair, I've only seen did you see the one I saw this newest one at the theater, but I did not see the one before this at the theater. Did you?
This one?
The first one, part one.
No, I saw this on Amazon, I think.
Because I was gonna say that honestly probably could get me to change my opinion about these movies are just great to see on the big screen. You know what I mean?
Bring it back to Daniel Day-Lewis is the best. I don't give a shit what you say. No. But bring it back to Mission Impossible. The reason I like this film a lot is because it reminds me of a better version of this film that I actually really liked, which not a lot of people liked, but I liked it, which is a film called Eagle Eye with Shia LaBeouf. And that had an AI system. This is like kind of a more rehashed plot. They had an AI system that took over. It's a different telling, I think, of the sci-fi stuff with like Terminator and stuff like that. And now it kind of resonates a lot more with AI being used so much in society. This is what people think that AI can become, even though it is light years away, even though the smartest AI is not as advanced as what this would say. This film leads you to believe. That's kind of why I like it. Now, does this film have a lot of parts that are like, well, that's like total bullshit? Like the timing and the predictability of everything that's going to happen with all these algorithms? Yeah. But Isai Morales kind of sold it for me, for me to like even more.
Well, that's what's cool, because honestly, when I watched it, because I actually watched it for the first time before 2 weeks ago, we were going to do the show. I was upset at myself because I liked Fallout so much. I didn't know why I waited so long. And I think, too, with these movies, I got to sit down and watch it again, take it all. And there's a lot of stuff going on. And
John Voight for National Treasure. Yeah, he wasn't National Treasure. This is his last good movies.
But I will agree. There's a lot of cool stuff in the movie.
Now, one thing I don't like about this film is the character of Haley Atwell. I will say that. Because she fucking irritates me and she keeps running away. It just makes no sense. Like how she keeps trying to get away when obviously like Ethan Hunt, like there's gotta be something. If she got a picture of Ethan, she says she got a picture of Ethan Hunt, right? And should she know that Ethan Hunt's somebody you shouldn't mess with, and she keeps trying to run away from him?
Yeah.
That kind of, and she ends up getting Rebecca Ferguson killed, even though Ving Rhames tries to say,
I think that's what it was too, because her character was the one that I think too was a little, because I like Rebecca Ferguson a lot in these movies, and I would think I was pissed when she died.
I love Isai Morales in this film as a villain. He's a person that like, is he a better villain than Phil Seymour Hoffman? No, but he's a character in this film that I don't like, that you despise. And even though in the end of this film they kind of get up on him by like getting the key and he gets pissed, I did not like that part where he screams his name, Ethan. Like that part reminded me of McBain screaming Mendoza in The Simpsons. It wasn't that great, but
see, I think that was my second problem. Even with the next one, is they don't use him as much as they should. When you look back at the past movies, they could have done a lot more with Morales, and I think they squandered some what they could have done.
Yeah. See, now I am gonna go see the second one tomorrow with Jen because she actually liked this film a lot too. Because I actually rewatched it again.
I mean, it's fun.
I rewatched this one with her.
What are those? I even forgot what's the stupid army of that we talked about at the beginning.
Oh god,
that's not that. Okay, so like any kind of complaints about this movie is like you're complaining about, a T-bone steak and another steak. It's like there's steak. You're gonna love it. You're gonna have.
Want me to tell you?
You're gonna have fun.
Back to that movie, and we're just all off the rails right now. But back to that Army of the Dead. So, and I know how I can get like, and how like we find caught in our ways. Like, okay, is this really a bad film? I put that movie on with my mom and her. They told me it was stupid.
Oh.
And my mom likes horror movies, and she was like, "This is dumb."
No, that was.
And I couldn't. And I was just like, "Okay, so this ain't me." But putting a bow on this, I like this film because of that. I really like Palm too. I can't say her last name. Clementieff, who's from Guardians of the Galaxy. I thought she was kind of badass in this film. She talks French in it, which I thought was kind of cool. And although you don't like cliffhangers, I thought this one, I don't like cliffhangers, but it wasn't the worst cliffhanger ever seen because like I said, unfortunately I watched the Fast and the Furious films.
Nobody said it was
okay. I'll give you another cliffhanger
of all time. And
Lord of the Rings. Those cliffhangers.
Lord
of the Rings.
There we go.
Okay,
don't ever
Lord of the
bring
Rings.
up Fast and the Furious to me again.
They had cliffhangers.
I don't even like those movies.
But I'm saying, like, I've seen worse cliffhangers.
No, it wasn't a bad cliffhanger. It's that, again, you have to wait. And you have to watch another 2 hour and 45-minute movie. And you're doing it because you love it. You love, you love Tom Cruise and you love watching these movies and you want to see action. And personally, it's not that the movie, what you'll see, I'm not giving anything away. I believe that somewhere down the road, he will do something else in this series. I believe.
I don't know if he'll do anything in this series, but he's definitely saying he's going to be doing more stunts in the future. Then again, Hollywood always tries to, bring back stuff, beat to death, and I can see them doing this because this is a money-making series.
Well, do you think beating to death is when something according to you, this is the best the series is at? So
no, it's my favorite film. I don't think it's the best of the series. It's just my favorite.
Well,
film.
I mean, even if it isn't, people enjoy it. A lot of people are going to go see it. Beating to death is generally like if they ended with like part 2 where he's throwing the glasses and they're like, well, we threw the glasses. We should probably we're lucky, honestly.
No,
think about how lucky we are that we got anything past part 2.
I can see when I say beat to death, they'll do this film if they want to do another. They do the 2025 film, which they've released. Then they'll say, "Oh, well, let's do a spin-off character," and they'll mention Ethan Hunt, and then they'll say, Mission Impossible, New Protocol, or some
Tom
shit."
Cruise is never going to stop.
Oh no, it's not Tom Cruise. I'm talking about Mission Impossible series.
Well,
they'll do that.
Tom Cruise with gray. Can't you see? And I'll be honest with you, Tom Cruise with like a gray hair, older, doing another one of these and it being highly successful. Because if you can't, then you're just not Tom Cruise like paying attention to like what he's doing in his career. And that's where I mean, like he takes a break. He says it's the final reckoning. You're going to see the movie tomorrow. Then you will come back and visit the conversation because then you can answer a little bit more. Because if he's talking about, he said Top Gun 2 was going to be the end. They're doing Top Gun 3.
They say Top Gun 2 was going to be end though.
They did.
I thought
it was never going to be.
I thought they were going to. There's always talks about 3 because I know the only film that he's been talking about. See, Sam says that my theory is he'll become the chief of IMF and there'll be a new agent. which they should have started introducing now.
But that's what I mean. You'd have a movie where he's out on the field one more time, kind of with the Jeremy Renner thing, and
Now,
switching it over, like Top Gun 2.
Now, what I would like is they wait since Tom Cruise is 61. They wait like 10 years. And so he was like in his 70s, and they did kind of a like in line of fire, like Clint Eastwood style. That would be kind of cool, where he's the old dog, and then you have a new guy to come behind him.
Tom Cruise is never just going to come out with a new Mission Impossible movie where he's just sitting behind a desk. He's just not going to.
Yeah, but I'm saying like, but if the script is as bad as part 2, eventually, even though Tom Cruise is not gonna be able to pull it out of a bad script.
But again, you're not ending it. You're saying he's right now. We're pretty much at the peak Mission Impossible. That all of a sudden he's going to come back with a bad script. That ain't happening. It just ain't happening. The guy's got so much control over everything. He's pretty in control.
I wouldn't throw it past. Like I didn't think it happened.
You just said a little while ago he's never really had a flop. So I guess
no, but also like society's weird, dude. Movies I think are going to be good, like that were supposed to be good, aren't good. You know what I mean? Like,
but not Daniel Day-Lewis and Tom Cruise movies.
To be honest with you, I don't know how much Daniel Day-Lewis has made in terms of his box office.
Money, box office. Don't ever look up box office. I don't ever think plays into if an actor's good. I mean, you can go to any actor and see their box office. Like, yeah, I mean, Arnold's box office is great. Is he a great actor? Come on,
he's the greatest action star.
Well, there you go. Sly.
Yeah, dude. We were lucky to live with like 2 of the biggest action stars of all time, like Sly and Arnold.
Stars and being a good actor are 2 different things. You could be an action star, That doesn't mean
hell no. My fat ass running around chilling people. Nah, man.
Come on. They made what's his name? You ever see The Sitter?
I want to be.
He's like 7 times your size in The
Who's
Sitter. The Sitter. What's his name? Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill's twice 7 times your size in War Dogs. You know what I mean? Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about here? Yup, it's the script. It's the director. It ain't you. Yep. One day I hope I direct a movie. You're gonna fucking be in it.
Oh my god. No. Yeah, Daniel Lewis didn't even cross $1 billion for his movies. And Tom Cruise pisses on that. But what was you threw me off of me being in your movie now. Kevin Hart, Vin Diesel, and Dwayne Johnson are the greatest actors of all time. Yeah, if you go by box office, they have all made a lot of money.
Kevin Hart.
Anything is possible. AI likeness. No, Jen. The Irishman kind of told us that it wasn't with him kicking. Do I still have that clip? I'm not saying Tom Cruise will put out a bad movie. I just think I'm afraid. Like, okay, say if Tom Cruise is like, all right, I want to do something different. He could do, and he walks away and does something different, and the studio still wants to do Mission Impossible. That's where I fear that they're just going to ruin the films going forward.
Just last year, Tom Cruise got his own office on the lot, and he's got his writing scripts with other people, and he's like nose deep in everything. And then he interviewed him this week, and he said he's never going to retire. Tom Cruise is at the point. Tom Cruise is like almost like at this tier, which is crazy because, to be fair, I thought he was over with that whole Oprah when he was on the couch, when he was losing his mind. I was like, this guy is done. I thought he was worse than Pacino, but he's made a hell of a comeback, man.
Yeah, but you're saying in terms, I don't think he's going to stop acting. I'm just saying just in terms of this franchise. If he walks away and does something different and the studio wants to do it without him,
they're not going to do. He's got full control. It's kind of like Dick Tracy. You know why they never made another Dick Tracy?
Yeah, because Warren Beatty.
Yeah, it's the same thing. They're not going to do Top Gun. They're not doing things unless Tom Cruise either passes away. Then they will, and then you'll be right.
Well, who knows, man? Maybe Scientology's going to tell him to do something else.
I've heard that he's kind of backed off from that too. I mean, and he spends a lot of time now with somebody who, you know what? Never mind. We're gonna.
Hey! You want me to tell you something, dude? You know what? What's crazy? This is completely off subject. But you know who introduced Tom Cruise to Scientology?
Oh, I know I've heard this somewhere, but tell me.
Mimi Rogers.
There you go. His
And
first wife, also a Tales from the Crypt alumni.
yeah, she introduced other people to Scientology too, like Sonny Bono.
Well,
Mimi Rogers is fucking people up, man. I'm sorry if you're a Scientologist and listen to this, but I've been told that it's not a good religion. But it's crazy. It's Mimi Rogers, man, just messing people up. Now, will Tom Cruise be a biggest star with Scientology without Scientology?
I think honestly, to be fair, some of his better movies came before he was in it. So like I don't know. You know what I mean? To be fair, would the whole thing on the Oprah couch happen if he was? You know what I mean? But then again, like if they allowed him to make a movie like Eyes Wide Shut, kudos to them.
Man, they're weird people. Yeah. This is like I just like think the most off rails. We had an argument and then we circled back and now we're talking about Scientology.
It's great.
In
That's
a
what makes
damn
the
Mission
show
Impossible
so
episode.
We've been off for 2 weeks. We've been holding it in.
But a little bit more about the. Oh, you know what? That's another thing too. I want to get to since Sam had brought it up. They kind of wasted Carrie Ells in this film.
That's true too.
Who I like, but I like the. I don't know why. I just like this film better than. This is my favorite film of the series. Is it the best one? No, I think the first one's probably the best one of the series. To be honest with you, Fallout's really good too. Fallout and this one are probably my second favorite. Fallout and the first one, but I don't know. I just like this one a lot. It kept me engaged, put it that way, and I think that's why I like it so much. But yeah, they didn't really utilize Carrie Ellis, which kind of sucks, and then he gets killed. But as of 2025, the Mission Impossible films, including the Final Reckoning, have grossed $4.3 billion with a domestic total of $1.4 billion. The Final Reckoning opened up with 95 million and 222 million worldwide, and it's still going because I believe it's in its third week. Tone, is it in third week or second week?
It is in its second weekend.
Deep dive into cult documentary films. We did a cult films episode. Might run it back. We'll see. But yeah, that's our Mission Impossible. I'm sorry we went off on a tangent. Let us know what you think about who the greatest actor is, who's the greatest actress, and who's the greatest director.
I love, and please out there, folks, I love Daniel Day-Lewis. You know, don't make me out to be a hater over here. I was just trying to,
To be honest with you, I if you hate him, it wouldn't bother me. My brother hates
No. I
Daniel
just don't want movie fans to think that I hate him because
my brother loves films and he does not like Daniel Day-Lewis. He says
Really?
it's boring. Yeah, he says his movies are boring.
Well, now that I could agree with him, and I think that would be another part of the argument why I brought up Carlito's Way. But I would definitely say that he's an amazing actor. But like the thing about it is that I think that's what it is. I think it's like maybe I'm gonna think about this one a lot, yeah, because sometimes you have to separate yourself from the movies you love. Like I haven't really watched The Boxer a lot, or in the name of maybe I need to, and then maybe my opinion can change.
I think an actor, like a really good actor, can make a horrible movie and watchable and enjoyable in certain aspects.
That's true.
And with Daniel Day-Lewis, his films are not considered bad films, but like a perfect example I can give you is during our week off, I watched this film called Polar. Have you seen it?
No, I've never heard of it.
Okay, so it's based off a graphic novel about a assassin called Duncan Vizsla. They call him the I forget what they call him. He's like he's a top assassin, the Black Kaiser they call him, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's done after like kind of gritty. The film is not great. It's Matt Lucas plays this guy called Blunt, and he plays his character over the top. It reminds me of Hobo with a Shotgun. But more sex and gore in it, and a lot of action. Now, if you like action, check it out. It's on Netflix. But if Mads Mikkelsen wasn't in it, if you guys don't know who Mads Mikkelsen is, he's from Hannibal. He's also the new Indiana Jones, the Dial of Destiny. But he's a phenomenal actor. If he wasn't in it, this film would have been a million times worse. Like, he kept me engaged. His acting was awesome. His lines were great, but he was very he had limited interaction in terms of like his lines. He was kind of quiet character. But his mannerisms, his delivery, his action scenes were awesome, and he kept me wanting to keep watching the film with all the other batshit crazy stuff going on. That to me shows that like people like him, even Tom Cruise, like people like De Niro in his old times, Pacino in his old times, like they can keep you engaged to the point where if the movie's even horrible, you'll still watch it. Like Dustin Hoffman was good with that too. I mean, he plays wacky characters as well. Gene Hackman, another person that like, even though his roles are more considered good roles, but they're in bad films with him in there.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And I think that's
like,
why
I think War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise, you put someone else in there, it could have been.
Yeah, it's bad. Like that movie is not great.
No.
The Mummy with him in there is not a great film, and he saves that film just for him being in there. It's not a good film.
No, it's not at all.
That to me is what makes an actor great. And
see, you're right there. That could have been the punch to get me if you would have. But what I was saying, bringing up Tom Cruise, and I was a good actor, all you needed to say was The Mummy, and I would have been like this. Shit, I forgot about The Mummy. No, that was a flop. That was a bad movie.
Yeah,
but he was fine in it. Made it
the movie around it was the movie around it was as bad. And I think that's why and I like Nicolas Cage. That's why I think a lot of his, like, I don't consider him a phenomenal actor. Like, he's starting to make some resurgence in Long Legs, but he's also saying he doesn't want to do those roles anymore. Which, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But that's why I think he kind of like tapers off, because there's films that he's in that are just so bad, like Drive Angry, that I don't care he's in it. I won't watch it. It's just not enjoyable to me. He doesn't keep me engaged. Even though I like his older stuff, like, but it's just like, that's what I feel with Al, with some of Al's films. Like even De Niro, like I can't, like Bad Grandpa. I can give two shits about Bad Grandpa. Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't like those films. Like Naughty Grandpa or whatever. De Niro kind of fell off for me with those things. But a film that Al was in that I really liked was that film when he's the singing star. That has the kid.
Yeah, that movie's pretty
good. And then he wasn't over. But he wasn't over the top in that film. You know what I'm trying to say? He was old Al, an older like guy, and he can pull at your heartstrings. If he just goes back to that, and I know it has to do with script, then he can have that resurgence. He's also 86 years old, so I don't know how much longer Al's gonna be doing movies. But
that's true.
That's my argument for what I think is a good actor or actress.
I agree,
and that's why I think like that's every time I watch something with Daniel Day-Lewis in it or Jack in it, I gravitate towards the screen. Like I am, by the way, performance. Brando was notorious for not knowing his lines. That man could fucking act his ass off.
Yeah,
like just stuff like that. The king of people hate him. I don't like him either anymore as a person. But Kevin Spacey, another person that his acting is phenomenal. Denzel, phenomenal. Improving and stuff like that. It's just, to me, it gravitates you towards that. And that's why I would like maybe we could have like Steve this or have Adam on talk about like the art of acting, and because Steve would know from directing. That's what made me fall in love with films and characters and actors. That's why I have my.
I'm gonna get yelled at. I'm gonna get yelled at. I'm gonna get yelled at hit by him. He loves Daniel Day-Lewis. And he loves Phantom Thread, and he really loves The Age of Innocence. But like Daniel Day-Lewis is a great actor. I mean, everything that you said, it's when he's on the screen, he commands. I'll never forget being like 10 years old and seeing like My Left Foot and being like, what is this? But then as a kid, you realize he's playing a role of a true person that is not easy, and you have to give yourself all in those type of roles.
Yeah, and you said you didn't like Gangs of New York, but he made that film watchable just for his character.
He did, and that's why I can't really badmouth it, because he's so good in the movie, like you said. it overtakes my negative opinion sometimes of the movie.
And that I think that's to me is the value and like true art of a great actor, a thespian.
Well, that's true.
But I'll get off my soapbox. But yeah, I mean, and also, people who are listening for first time or watching or whatever, we have our debates, but I mean, we have similar likes in a lot of films too.
Well, if we don't throw a little, what's that called? A little oil in the fire, I mean, we got to bring it up. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing, is that it keeps it fun. It keeps it.
Definitely.
And I agree with majority of what you say.
Yeah. But it's good to have a little argument here and there. And Bologna apparently loves when we argue.
Oh, good.
That's what he told me. But so you saw the Final Reckoning. You said it was okay. I'm gonna go see it tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. As far as the Mission Impossible films, Tone, I of course did not like the second one. Do I hate it? No, I don't hate it. I just didn't enjoy it. Even though I tried to watch it again. I did watch it again. But these films, like, Tom Cruise is a mastermind in terms of making. He is the summer blockbuster. Tom Cruise is Mr. Should be, Dwayne Johnson was Mr. Box Office, and Will Smith at one time was summer blockbuster with his thing. But Tom Cruise basically shits on all of them. Like, he is a mega movie star. He eats popcorn weird as hell. Did you see that video?
I did. That's what made me think.
I love. You know what? Take away his Scientology. Take away his crazy. Do I think Tom Cruise is a bad person? No, but take away his Scientology stuff. Like, as far as acting, like I said, he's in my top 5. I think he's one of the best actors I've ever seen. A guy who didn't go to high school, to play lawyers, and
I even forgot. I mean, honestly, we're talking Tom Cruise, and honestly, I forgot The Firm. I forgot Few Good Men.
Yeah,
I mean, just great movies.
Yeah, to go and just to go from there, and this dude, he's phenomenal. And I hope he keeps acting. We need still actors like him out there, and he isn't afraid to give the spotlight to somebody, which is something that, passing of a torch or even shedding a light on other people. Some people that are lost in their ways don't like to do.
Sure.
So I'm happy he's still doing stuff. But and you know what? He's allegedly a really fantastic person to everyone, so that's good. Yeah, and I've heard that too, Sam. Like, he I know for this film in particular, the part 1 of Dead Reckoning, people who weren't following protocol with COVID, he went off on them. It's like, yo, you can't be doing that. You're injured. You're gonna put people at risk. He also throws lavish, casting parties for his team when they're wrap up parties. He pays for himself. I've heard stories of him going and seeing people injured on the, somebody got injured in a car accident. He actually pulled over, made sure that person got to the hospital and paid all their hospital bills. I've seen him paying for people's wrecked cars, stuff like that. So I've heard a lot of good things about him as well as a person. Just the Scientology stuff is kind of what weird to be out about him. And he kind of showed that when he was jumping on couches. But phenomenal actor. But then again, like, all great actors are fucking weird in some way. Danny Day-Lewis is weird as shit. I mean, he's definitely weird.
Brando was really weird.
Yeah, he became really fat. But that's our Mission Impossible series. I really, what? I really would like in the future, Tone, to do a breakdown of De Palma.
Yeah,
because he was in he did a lot of good films. Like, I was looking at his filmography, so maybe in the future we can do that.
That'd be cool.
Before we get to the Sugar Baggies soundtrack pick of the week, we can, we don't have to play the video, Tone, but tell everybody what's going to be coming up next for the show.
We are going to be doing a 5 and 5 of fantasy movies, which honestly, there's just so much to pick from, and it's going to be a good time. It's going to have some deep cuts. It's going to be a really mind-blowing experience, I think, because fantasy is another fun aspect that we haven't really covered too much.
Yeah, and I will be saying I'm probably not going to be picking any Lord of the Rings films on my end.
And that is
I know Tony might be picking all of them in the Hobbit
I
series.
will. I'm gonna pick. Well, I only get 5, so I'm gonna.
You gotta take one of the Hobbit ones out. But some films that don't get talked about a lot, the fantasy films. So I'm looking forward to that. We have some other stuff in the cooker or the hot pot for the future. What episode is this, Tone? 96?
Yes, something like that. I meant to look today at what exactly it is, but we are creeping so closely to 100. We can smell it. That's how close we are.
Yeah, and it's crazy that since you've joined the show, this is your show. We've done more episodes together than I've done previously.
Yeah.
We're also going to 100 episodes, which although we started off as just a crazy podcast, just two guys talking about movies and arguing and debating and stupid shit. Now we're doing deep dives and we're evolving as a show. I never thought we'd make it to 100 episodes.
That's what's cool is that when you look back at like when I bought my very first DVD and you're like, wow, one day I'll have 100. And then you step back and you had 100 and you're like, wow, I have 100. It's like Funko Pops. It's like anything else. And that's what's cool is that there's a lot of stuff. And what people don't understand is just all the stuff that's been going on before we do the shows. Like you can hear back to the show and be like, oh, I remember what was going on at that time period. And it's cool. It's actually really cool.
Yeah. So as we're on a road to 100, hopefully, we'll keep chugging from there and go to 200, and then maybe we'll get to 1,000 before we die.
Yes.
But I just want to say shout out to Michael Cotton, a Cubes fan who has officially joined the Statistic Penguin Studios as one of our writers and contributors. He put out a fantastic article on spoilers. If you haven't read that, it's pretty hilarious. Also, he has an awesome picture on the website up with his bio. So look for more stuff coming from him about stuff you're probably not going to like. And then Adam has been writing a blog for us. He'll be contributing as well. I know he's working right now on a blog.
He's actually sent me 4 blogs. I have to put them all together and put them out. But starting tomorrow, we are going to, here on the channel, be breaking down every single James Bond movie one by one.
Nice.
So starting tomorrow, we will be starting with Dr. No, and it'll be about a half-hour episode. Concise, cool pictures, fun facts, and videos. He is a master of the James Bond. Me, I watch him just like Mission Impossible and everything else. So we're gonna see what we can do, and hopefully we can bring some more movie fans at the show over here and all that.
Who's the best Bond?
Ooh, that one is tough. I gotta go with Sean Connery. I just like Sean Connery, but I could be wrong. I think Adam likes Roger Moore, which is one that usually people don't.
Not Timothy Dalton.
Timothy Dalton, though, when
T. Dalton.
What ended up happening is back on the Hookup on Film, we started doing this, and then obviously when the show imploded, honestly lost the episodes that we did. So he's like, where are those episodes at? And I was like, I don't know where they're at anymore. So let's just start fresh again and go from the beginning, and we'll bring some more people. So we're actually going to be recording that at 10 in the morning tomorrow.
You've seen was I Love You, Man?
Yes. Great.
That's
Great
when he's like, when he's getting his tux, and he's like, give me an action pose. You think James Bond, he goes, he does that little pose. He's like, what is that? He's like, I'm doing James Bond. He's like, Timothy Dalton is James. Like, oh, T. Dalton. And he does a little. That's why. But Connery's my favorite Bond. I also like Pierce Brosnan. I like the films he did. But that's gonna be kind of cool. I will definitely be tuning in for those.
Yeah.
So be sure to check out the website. It's Statistic Penguin Studios. We will have new blogs up, and we'll be having new stuff on the channel. We have some stuff that we're actually other little side projects that we've actually been talking about doing. One involving Sopranos, one involving some anime stuff. and one involving some movie type of stereotypical movies that you might be putting out as one-offs or segments. So we will have our segments coming back as well. So Mailman Jack will probably be coming on in the near future. We'll try to get Roxy back on. She's been really busy. I guess see if Keelan's can come on for some Keelan's cuts. And Adam will be a regular contributor along with the man of King Ass will be on sometime in the future. So stay tuned. There's a lot of cool stuff coming back along with Drafty Pod. We'll be back June 8th. We're doing a 2005 movie draft. It'll be myself, Brian, and I believe Kevin, if I'm mistaken. But we'll be back on June 8th, so look out for that. And tell everybody what's going on the Hook Up on Music.
Hook Up on Music, coming back this week. Garbage has got a new album. Gonna dig into that. Also going to maybe dig into some other new releases that have been going on. This past week was a really kind of a cool show. But kind of starting out with some music news and then kind of moving into different concerts and different stuff. We talked Anthrax. That was really exciting. So please check out the show.
Yes, sir. Be sure to check out that show. If you haven't, please subscribe. I don't like to beg for subscribers, but we're getting very so close to the 1,000. If you're a first-time listener and you like our stuff, check us out there. And without further ado, Tone, let's go into the Sugar Baggy soundtrack pick of the week, my friend.
The Sugar Baggy soundtrack pick of the week.
All right, tonight, I thought it's always kind of cool when we pick like an actor or something to try to see if there's a soundtrack there to find. And of course, the one that came right in my head right away was the Vanilla Sky soundtrack. From the Cameron Crowe directed movie, released December 4th, 2001. A lot of good artists on this album. As you heard right there, one of my favorite beginnings to a movie. You have Radiohead and Everything in Its Right Place. Yumper, would you have allowed me to pick this film as a fantasy movie? I'm curious.
Yeah, this film is
really out there. It's definitely
Magnolia could have been a fantasy film too.
That one too, yeah. Okay, cool. Now you've given me the parameters of where my mind can stretch, because honestly, the movie is definitely, I thought, drenched in a fantasy type of world, but the music in here just really adds to it. Paul McCartney's title track of Vanilla Sky, I like that song a lot. Of course, you have REM doing All the Right Friends. You have Peter Gabriel, Salisbury Hill, always great. An artist that doesn't get talked about a lot is Jeff Buckley, Last Goodbye. That is really awesome in this. You have Bob Dylan, you have the Chemical Brothers, you even have the Monkees. A lot of cool stuff. There's a lot of stuff that isn't used on the soundtrack, like Wild Honey by U2, Rez by Underworld. Just loaded with great music. And honestly, huge fan of the movie. And I think one of the reasons why I'm a huge fan of the movie, because it is kind of out there, isn't just because our main man, Kurt Russell, is in it. It's because of this cool soundtrack. So it's been a while. Check out the Vanilla Sky soundtrack.
Yeah, so definitely a good soundtrack. The film, I'm just thinking, like, you kind of threw me off when you said this film, because this film is fucking out there. Like, it's really out there. It's like Magnolia. It's another film. Like, he's in two films that are like completely like mess with your mind.
See, this is a movie where like I can more stand, like I can't really stand on my laurels of. I'm not saying he's not a good actor in the Mission Impossible movies. I think he's great in those movies. But this is a movie where I could step back a little bit more and say, like, he's doing things that are not what you're usually going to see from him, because the movie's so out there.
He has long hair in this one too.
What'd you say? Yeah. Well, and again, that's my point, is that he's playing a scruffy advertising agent. You know what I mean? not a. It's like James Bond. Daniel Craig shows up with long hair. Are you going to buy that role as James Bond?
Bond is Bond.
Well, Mission Impossible, I mean, to be fair, has been around just as long or as Bond has.
I want to you to ask this question to Adam. When you guys are done with your Bond, who should be the next Bond?
Well, that's really why, honestly, and I'm going to need you because you're really great at putting all the cool tags on this. What I'm really hoping to do with this is that by the time we get to the last movie, we're starting to get into that territory of, because I've even made like a cool so that we can kind of like lead into this, because I'm curious too. You know, I hear Aaron Taylor Johnson a lot as somebody who's in the running to be Bond. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
I know who I really want, but I don't know if it's going to happen.
Well, that's generally where our debates come from too.
No, but this person has been.
Who do you want?
This person has been rumored to.
I can't wait
to be James Bond, though. Who do you think I want?
Tom Cruise?
Oh no.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
No, he was never rumored for
Idris Elba.
Yes.
Yeah, well, he would.
I think he would be an awesome James Bond.
But unfortunately, I don't think that they want to make like that kind of a. They should, and I would agree, and I would back up Idris Elba over anyone else. I just don't think that that's the route that they want to go. They should, though.
I to me, the argument for it is kind of because James Bond's a fictional character, but I would think he would be a great James Bond. Also,
Scarface,
that would be a great James Bond is the guy who was in
is it Al Pacino Scarface?
No. Charlie Hunnam would be a great James Bond too.
No, I know. I was just saying, wasn't Al Pacino Scarface a fictional character?
Yeah, but he played a Latin.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But a Brit. But
Idris Elba is British.
Well, he is, but again,
he's from.
You're taking a character, and that would be like saying, like, honestly, why can't Kate Winslet? I think she would be a great. You know what I mean? Like, she's British.
I mean,
make a female. But then again, people are going to be like, "Well, Bond's a man." Well, why does Bond have to be a man?
He doesn't.
If you're willing to go away.
Jane Bond.
Well, it's just Bond.
Jane Bond.
Jane Bond.
Jane Bond.
I like it. See?
No, but I think
we'll write the script this weekend.
I don't know. It's just something about him. Just like
Idris Elba, though. I agree.
Yeah, he's got like that gravitas. You know that
he's incredible in Prometheus, and he isn't even. He's just the guy who runs the ship. You know what I mean? Like he's another actor. He's an actor. You know who he's really good with him? I don't know if you've seen it. It came out like 2 years ago. He's like with the Lions.
Oh, what the two girls? I know what you're talking about.
He wasn't bad. He's an actor who reminds me a lot of who you were describing of Daniel Day-Lewis. He's got the goods to be in any movie. He controls and commands, people to watch him, and I think that's why he would be great in as Bond. I really do.
He's also a great comedic timing too.
Mm-hmm.
He did it in the Suicide Squad. That's Bloodsport. He did a great job in that film.
Real quick, off topic, back to Idris Elba. The first time I ever seen him, there was a show on Showtime. It was called The Big C with Laura Linney, where she gets cancer and she's like living through it. It's kind of like a dramedy. But Idris Elba is like the janitor who works at the school she works at. But like he can get down in any kind of role, and I back you up. I'd like to see him. Unfortunately, I go into the mind of the stupid studio exec who isn't going to make the good decision, because you'd say to yourself, why wouldn't you take him over Aaron Taylor Johnson? But maybe Kraven the Hunter, they saw something we didn't.
Kraven the Hunter, oh my god. But yeah, that's who I would pick. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens. Before we go, I want to ask you a question, since I did bring up our guy Charlie. from the Gentleman. Did you watch the Gentleman Netflix series? Is it any good?
I've only heard negative things.
Okay. So I'm not gonna
but who I heard negative things from, like a person who I did a show with a long time ago. I don't know if that I would because I never literally sat down and did it myself, and he is incredible enough to be like, yeah, we're gonna run with it. So like honestly, I would like to sit and watch it again. I have a problem, and you spelled it earlier today when you were talking about the two movies you picked of what you've been watching. Netflix just sometimes they put out some good stuff and then they put out some real bad stuff. So like Netflix, out of all of my streaming services, I only really just bought it recently because of Raw. Because Max is better. To me, Paramount Plus, even Peacock. Because like sometimes these movies they put on there are just shows, but honestly, we love The Gentleman, so
to be honest with you, Netflix, I have it because it has a lot of old series that kids watch.
Yeah.
And my kid watches like all that stuff for him. So I get my money's worth with that.
Perfect.
And then it has like sometimes it has those has Gilmore Girls, which my wife loves. So Wallace Shawn would be a good Bond too.
Great Bond.
So inconceivable. I love Wallace Shawn. But that is our show. We rambled on for 2 hours and 37 minutes. Michael Cotton, this is for you. He told me that what's he going to do for 2 hours when we didn't do a show last week when he was cleaning his house. So hopefully we did this long one for him. So when he cleans his house tomorrow, he can listen to us. So shout out to Cotton. Thank you everyone for tuning in, watching. Thank you, Sam. Everybody in the comments, Sam, Jenny, Caitlin, Brian S, and all the usuals. We love you guys. Gordo, get better, my man. And we will see you guys next week.
Peace.
Thanks for listening to the At the Show podcast, a Sadistic Penguin Studios production.
Game over, man. It's game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do?
Maybe we could build a fire, sing a couple of songs, huh? Why don't we try that?
My friend,